manifesting through the pain. I reach for you like a fading ghost, like a vapor of smoke. You look back but didn't see me. One day you'll notice something missing, and you'll turn to look for me, and I'll be gone. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. I'm manifesting through the pain, like a whisper lost in the rain. In the night I'd fading like a ghost train. You have only yourself to blame. An empty carriage, a carnival of pain, with ghosts standing in the rain. My memory, your pain. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. I'm manifesting through the pain. In darkness you'll scream my name, but no one will hear. It's just you and your fear. I'll never be near. You'll imagine me, my hands touching, my ghost dancing. Looking into my eyes, you'll see all your lies. You'll remember all the tears I cried. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me.
Pen to paper, a lost friend's letter. In darkness I travel, my eyes upon a house disheveled. Walking the halls, all the pain I see, paranoia and anxiety. Usher was telling me, paranoia rising, as I travel this life alone. Two paths both unknown, for what already has this life shown. The first step I diverge from normalcy, no paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say. A road less traveled, dark and cold, I came upon a fork in the road. I pondered, both mind free. The fall had come, for yellow is the autumn tree. Both I long to travel, for I'm but one. I could not see, for both were bent, the overgrowth and canopy. Where will destiny lead me? The first step I diverge from normalcy, no paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say. I began my journey on the road less traveled. Regret haunts me at times, looking back wondering where the other path myself would find. But both paths are traveled equally, for many take the zombie road to normalcy, and others seek individuality. From the wear on the trail it appears 50-50. With every footstep came pitfalls and risks, rewards and opportunities. Looking back, what did I really miss? The first step I diverged from normalcy, no paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say.
All right, folks, welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner, and this is PRT. Join us in the real reality. You know how it goes. So, man, there's a lot to talk about. This episode is crazy stuff. All right, folks. So be ready for some just I don't know. I had a lot of fun putting it together, though. I did, and sometimes I'll put stuff together and it's just kind of tedious, and you're just trying to And sometimes when you interview people, not always, but you'll record, like you'll have a little recording or something, and you have to go back and get the notes. And this one, it was that, and it was remembering from memory, and then some other people, they just wrote it out to me. They just sent it out to me. So a lot to unpack. A lot of this is crazy stuff, man. I may have to like finish this one and like push it for like next week, and getting it in there. Oh, where do I begin? Okay, so here's what we're going to start with, right? Okay, so it's July 4th weekend. I got the hat. I'm a patriot, I just love Texas a lot, and I think a lot of Texans do too. And I think that's what brought on some of this flooding. Now you're going to say, "Oh, come on, Wolf. How is the flooding like? That's just a natural occurrence, right? You think it's a natural occurrence?" I know a lot of people probably do believe that. I don't. I don't believe that's natural. I do not. because we've been in, I want to say it's they, right? We've been in a drought. They've had us in a drought for years now. Like it's been a few years that we've had this drought going on, and you know, all of a sudden it just decides to rain and it just pours. I mean, it is like, and there's people that I've been quiet. I've been kind of quiet. I've been just watching, paying attention, because you know what I do. Like I'll just lay low for a little bit and I'll pay attention. I'll pay attention. And then when it's time to talk, I'm going to talk. And today is time to talk. Today is Sunday, and this is one of our shows, and it's a live stream. And I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you what I saw. And I'm going to tell you what so many people have been messaging me. I've been getting messages been blowing up, blowing up, blowing up. First of all, I want to thank the people who have been checking on me. Sorry I couldn't answer everybody. But if you're one of those many people who messaged me and checked on us, and I appreciate it. I will say this. The water being dumped in one particular area, which is Central Texas, right? And just continually dumped. Like, you know, I saw a time lapse video of a creek being swollen, and 30 minutes, and it rose several feet. It just doesn't make sense. It was weird because the rain was pouring, but not, it was, you could still, it wasn't just like in sheets, you know, and the creek just rose up so fast. I mean, it was like, now these swells can happen very, very quickly. And I nearly died in one when I was 15. Remember, this is the summer before I saw the Dogman. I almost didn't see the Dogman. I almost wasn't here. But I am an extremely strong swimmer. So if the powers that be are listening, you're not going to kill me with that. All right. I'm not stupid enough to try to cross a low water crossing. I grew up in an area where, you know, outside of Taylor, where if it flooded, there were low water crossings and that farmland out there. Farmlands, and then there's woods, and then there's farmland, and there's woods. You know better than to go into certain areas, right? But when I was 15, I didn't know better, and I just jumped into a swollen creek out in Jonah, and it pulls you up underneath this the big what do you call? They're like, I can't think of the name of it. They're big. There's two big circles, is what they are, and you go into it. And you come out on the other side. And it's a very dangerous thing because you could hit your head. When you're a teenager, you don't think nothing of it. It was my friend Daniel and his brother and a couple of other friends. He's the guy. They're the ones that I saw the Dogman with. And so, you know, you jump into the water and you're not even thinking about it. Just doing that, I could have died. But then I end up wading too far downstream, and I couldn't get out. Like we were swimming in this one area that was kind of shallow, and then I lost my footing and I went under the water, which was only about 2 feet. Right? It's only about 2 feet, but then you know you could drown in less than a foot of water. People do it all the time, and they get caught in something, you know. And so it swept me downstream, and I finally caught a hold of a big rock, which could have hit my head, and I got myself up. The water was a little over my waist, a little over my belly button. But back then, I wasn't a fat dude. I was just tall, lanky, and I was really strong. I've always had like gorilla strength, right? So that was always something that I could rely on. And I was a strong swimmer. I had taken swim lessons when I was a kid, but I really didn't need them. I mean, like, because I remember my dad saying that when he took me swimming when I was a little baby. And being dad and what dads do, even though me and my dad have had some rocky, me and my dad have gone at it. Well, I've really hated his guts at times. He's hated mine. But when I was a baby, it wasn't like that, you know. And he put me in the water, and he just said I just swam around him in a circle, and he was amazed. He watched me swim. My dad told me that. He said, "You just swam like you'd been doing it your whole life. You were barely 1 year old." He's like, "Now your mom would have killed me if she found out that I let you go like that." He goes, "But I had my hands there, you know." He's like, "But you just swam around, dog paddled all the way around me, and then came right back to me and then laughed." And so my dad was all impressed. I was a toddler, and he would put me in the pool, and his friends would just be like, "Damn, that baby swims like crazy." So I even got to where I could go under the water and dive. So by the time I was 3 or 4, I was already doing it. Then my mother finds out that my dad had been doing that. So she was just like putting me in swim lessons, and I just took the kickboard and was like, and I just let go of it and swam like, you know. And the people teaching the swim class were like, he knows how to swim. He's the best swimmer in the whole class. There's 20 kids here. He knows he knows what he's doing. And so I was jumping off the high dive. When I was a kid, our pools had like the deep end, and I would play in the deep end. And one time there were these kids, and I remember the lifeguard's name was Derek. He dated the neighbor girl when we lived in Rockdale. And they, some kids, older kids, were always picking on us younger kids, and they grabbed me and my friend Ronnie and tried to hold us under the water. He went unconscious. He went unconscious. Or it was David and Ronnie, one of them two, I remember. And they held me underwater for a while. There was a woman screaming and yelling, and the lifeguard he's not a bad guy, but he had gone to the restroom, and they were shorthanded. That lady swore up and down that it was over a minute, maybe, that they held me underwater. I don't know, man. If you're not prepared and you're like an 8-year-old kid and somebody holds you under the water for over a minute, I held my breath. I had a strong lung capacity. Later on, the lifeguard came over to eat dinner with us with his girlfriend, who was my sister's best friend, and he admitted that he was derelict of duty. He goes, I had to use the bathroom, man. I come back and I jump in and I stop these kids. He goes, but they would have killed me, man. Shortwave says, what bullcrap is this? What are you talking about? I don't know. You might want to explain yourself there, bro. Because I'm not in the mood to be trolled right now. So, anyways, they were holding me underwater. My dad claimed that it happened to him. I got older. I had a memory of drowning in a pool. The memory turned out to be false. It was weird because when I described it to my dad, I was like a late teens or something. My dad goes, "That wasn't you. That was me." And it was him to a T, what had happened to him. And that was weird. And then I had this other memory, as long back as I could remember, of playing with these two guys in a creek that we were diving down trying to find like a penny that was down inside of the creek. And it was real, like you can't go to certain parts of the creek because you could drown. And I remember going down and then losing consciousness. And then these two guys were helping me. And I remember them being like my older brothers or something like that. And I was like, where did I get that memory from? When I told my grandpa took me to his uncle, which was my great uncle. My Uncle SD told me, he goes, that happened to your great grandpa Dewey. That's my younger brother. And I was like, really? Because my great grandpa died, he would have lived a long time if he drank himself to death. And I was like, what? How do you have a memory of that? It's very vivid. And my dad said he remembered that story. And so I have a memory of that belongs to my great grandfather, which is weird. My great grandfather died a couple months before I was born. And I've had a lot of people tell me that I remind them of him, if he was a bigger, stronger guy, because I'm built like my grandpa.
Mhm.
And my dad's built big too. I mean, my dad's built like like his dad. I'm built like my dad, but we're big dudes. And just real natural strength. My dad and my grandpa are very strong people. My dad didn't really work out like I did. Neither did he. Does now. He has for the last 20 years, but for years he didn't. I can only imagine how strong he would have been, my dad and my grandpa both, if they would have had the access to the gym like I do. So they could bench press, 600 pounds or whatever.
Would have been like Eddie Hall.
I mean, yeah. And I trained with a lot of really big, strong guys. And people would ask me, like, what are you training for? I trained myself just so I could fight if I had to, if I had to fight with people, and I've described that too, like not just, I'm really thankful now that I didn't go into professional. I did amateur stuff, I mean, it really and truly though wasn't amateur, because in those early days, there really wasn't no professional, like UFC was not even professional. It wasn't a professional thing. Like those early days, man, I just saw it and I thought, how do you get paid? And I was just like, and I talked to some of my friends, man, and they were going to Pride and doing stuff. And they were just like, couple guys came to the club. They were from Texas, and they were trying to convince me to go, and they were bouncing in Japan. And I go, well, if you're making enough money, why are you bouncing? And I had something going down here, so I was like, I don't think so. You know, if the money would have been there, like boom, you know, and it would have been good. But listening to Rampage the other day, and I was thinking, no way, dude. Like for a championship bout, they paid him $30,000.
Vindicated for not going into that.
Man, I fought for a purse down here. Well, I didn't get to fight for it because my brother, not blaming you, brother, but y'all tore up that hotel down in Corpus. Yeah, they did, man. And then they wanted to give me a bill for that. And I was like, that's how much the purse would have been the next day. I mean, you know. But anyways, I did fight a lot. So I did the math the other day. I was 18-0 as a scrapper, you know. I'm not talking about street fighting. I'm talking about like getting where people come and watch you beat people up. So I was pretty good. But I didn't go and fight in the UFC, but the UFC wasn't much better than any of those other tournaments. It was just every man for himself, you know. I mean, it was just whatever. And you didn't really get paid a lot. And so, you know, I was thinking about all the what ifs yesterday. I was thinking about this. We were talking about it, Anthony. Like, what if I would have stayed with football? What if I'd have stayed with baseball? I was a great baseball player. What if I would have stayed doing this, doing that? And I don't have any regrets now. I look back and I know I am where I'm supposed to be. God put me exactly where I'm supposed to be. You know, I mean, for my friends that made it to the NFL, my friends that went into the major leagues, you know, my friends that made it in college and were college stars, and I know them. I know, and my friends that are actors. I have friends that are successful writers, very successful writers. I know people who do all kinds of stuff, and kudos to them. I'm glad that life worked out for you, but I'm glad my life is where I'm at because I'm here with you guys, and I don't know that I would have had that mind to do what I do. You know, when you look at some of these guys, you can tell there's a lot of intelligence there, man.
Oh yeah.
But it's not as they're not as good as what they could be, you know, because of the fighting. Some of these football players, and I'm not knocking people.
Well,
Man.
Manny Pacquiao, I think, is coming out of retirement for whatever reason. And during his interview, he was talking slow.
Oh, it's horrible.
It was hard to watch.
I can't tell you. I know a lot. Well, one of our friends, we'll call him BV. Let's just say that he's a professional, you know. And when we were at the gym with him, and then a coach, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's so hard because I talked to these guys prior to their professional career, and then one of them had a belt. Both of them did actually, but you talk to him. One guy he repeats himself quite a bit, and I'm just like, you know, oh boy, and you know, and I have a friend who did rodeo, and I like him a lot. He's a good guy, but that bull when it stepped on him, and his you know, short-term memory loss.
Man,
Forever.
sad.
I mean, and you know, so when you do these really violent things, you know, I'm glad I didn't do all of that. I did. And I did get hit in the head. I've had a couple, I've been concussed. I know I have. I've had a couple of really bad, I have a skull fracture in the back of my skull. But you thank you for that, Nick. We
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Nicholas. It's very kind of you.
And yeah, I wrestled too. And I didn't swim competitively, but I wrestled. I played baseball. And I have a friend of mine, we were in high school, and I'll never forget this. We were playing Brenham, and he got hit in the head, and he never played baseball again. For the next several years, he had seizures. And I'm not going to mention, you know, who it is. And Anthony, you know who he is, a friend of the family. But
yeah,
just been getting hit in the head with a baseball. Thank God that didn't happen to me. Now, one time I got a pitcher from Robstown. He threw it. They were like a baseball mecca here in Texas. He threw at me, and I turned my head, and it bounced off the back. And dude, I felt it all the way across my skull. But I didn't want to get taken out of the game as a playoff, so I was just like, "No, I'm good. I'm good." And I noticed when I was swinging the bat, like I wasn't fully swinging it, and the coach came out and was like, "Hey, come here. Are you sure you're okay?" And when he was doing this, like I was seeing double. And I still got a base hit. Now, it wasn't nothing spectacular. I hit it, and the shortstop, I guess it really was an error.
Mhm.
I got on base, but the shortstop muffed it, and because the game was almost over. We lost, but it was almost over, and I think he was a little nervous. He was trying to close us out, and we were probably their best opponent. And once they beat us, then it was smooth sailing for them. But yeah, I love baseball, and I played for years. And then I remember one time I got hit on my hand, and my hand swelled up, and I had to come out of the game. 2 days later, this is high school, and then I got to run you to look at an X-ray. 2 days later, though, it was like on a Tuesday or something. I got hit on a Sunday, something like that, and they said, "Okay, go look at it." And it was like, oh, "It's not broken; it's just a bone contusion, hurt real bad." And I was playing like a week later. Probably shouldn't have been, but I could fight through injuries. But in sports and in life, anything can happen like that. Boom, and your life can take a change. It can take a turn, and then there are things that happen that put you on another course. You end up on another path that you didn't expect, you didn't know. If I wouldn't have got in trouble, probably would have been playing football for a long time. And who knows how many concussions or whatever I might have had. I played so hard-nosed. I would hit people so hard that I would get hurt, but I would just get up, man. I didn't leave the field. I mean, I just did what I had to do. And you do that in boxing, you do that in wrestling. I was a very athletic person, very, very athletic. And so I look back, though, and I'm glad I'm where I'm at. I am really happy with my life, even though things aren't perfect. It is what it is. Some people, though, when they're young, they think they're going to live forever, and they don't. And I've lost a lot of friends like that. These people who lost their lives, please pray for them. I mean, let's pray for them. I'm going to say a prayer for them right now. And if you're not a Christian, then be respectful. If you want to bail, then you do what you got to do. But we've been praying for them. 70 people. I think Christopher Jordan posted it earlier.
Yeah, the body count just keeps going up.
The body count keeps
Sad.
going. It's going to go up. I'm telling you. It's just so. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about this, and then we're going to get on to the encounters. We have a lot to talk about. This show will probably be a full 3 hours. So buckle up, folks. I need you to bow your heads. If you believe in Christ, all right. Father, I pray in the name of Christ. I ask these things in the name of Jesus, Lord God. I ask that you heal our land and you help the people that have been afflicted by this flooding, who have lost people, family, and friends. I ask you to please comfort these people and please help us to find everybody who is missing, God. Please help this to happen. Make this happen. These people that are stranded in the woods, that are lost, they're still alive, God. Please help them. Please help us to find as many of them as possible still alive, Lord God. I know that you can do miracles. Please help these people, the family of the girls that were swept away in this flood. God, if this is something that is not from you, is not of you, please strike it down and punish those that are responsible for this, God, if it is your will, but only your will be done in our lives and everything, always. Lord God, I pray and I ask these things in the name of Jesus, Father. Your will be done. Please lift up the righteous and punish the guilty, Lord God, but only if it is your will. May your will be in all things, in our land and in every land. And please bless my home, bless my state. Please take care of the families of these people that are affected, Lord God, and help those who are directly affected, who were swept away. Your will be done. Amen. When you pray, always make sure that you preface it with God's will. It's his will. We have no power, folks. We can only pray to God and hope for the best. And, and what I mean by that, punish those that are guilty, because I'm a believer in HARP.
Yeah.
I believe
Geoengineering.
Do you think it's a coincidence that we're in this drought, right? And then all of a sudden it floods like this. And there's people that are arguing back and forth on Facebook. Let me tell you something. I live right here. Okay. I'm in ground zero where this happened. To the west of me, it flooded out, washed out, and there were people, all kinds of stuff. To the east of me, washed out, flooded out, whatever. To the north of me, washed out, flooded out. People stranded. To the south and southwest of me. It is a miracle of God that where I'm at, we got tons of rain, but there was no flooding where we were at. Somebody jokingly, a friend of mine, he lives down in South Austin. He messaged me and he's like, they tried to kill you, brother. And all it did was just flood around you. Like, now, were there places that I could have ran into if I wasn't smart? Absolutely. Were there places that if I would have driven and done my job a certain way, could I have flooded out? Yep. Right there in Round Rock, it flooded. I could have ended up not here. See, and now that goes back to what I was saying earlier. You're probably wondering why I was saying all that. See, because God gave me a brain and I use it. So I found alternate routes. I found alternate, whatever, and I did what I had to do. I didn't attempt low water crossings because when the flooding first happened, people weren't prepared. They weren't out there blocking off the roads like they are now. I could have driven right into it. But see, my mind, I know the grid like the back of my hand. I know Central Texas like the back of my hand. And I can tell you where's what and what's what. And I knew what was where and where I absolutely knew where to avoid. I know all the area around the lake. I know all the area around all of the lakes. We were out there at Lake LBJ, I think it was last Thursday, right, Anthony?
Yep. Me
and Nellie and Anthony and Maddie. I made a comment. Do you remember this? I said, dude, this lake needs, it wasn't as low as Lake Travis, but I said it needs water. We need rain. But what did I say? I was like, we don't need flooding because that lake could easily come over that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it flooded. I made a comment about Lake Travis. We need a good, 15, 20 feet over here. And it happened. But the way that it happened was so weird. Like we got all of this rain, then it subsided and everybody thought, okay, we're good. And then it started again. And if you were to look at it on the map, it went like, and then it went like this and it went, where was it coming from? Yes, I get it. There was a front that blew in, but why would it just stick over Central Texas? West Central Texas in particular. And then the people in North Central Texas and East Central Texas thought, oh, we're fine. No, our ranch got hit too. It didn't get flooded out, but it got hit pretty hard. But it was so weird because why would it do that? What is causing it to do that? Where is it coming from? And then all of a sudden they show this thing on the news where it shows like it's coming down and then it kind of goes away. Then it comes down. I'm like, that's the exact same thing. Why would it do that twice and just come to the same spot? Folks, I'm telling you, I'm not even trying to explain what I saw because I lived it. I lived through it. And I said, this is not natural. Didn't I say that?
Yep.
I said, this isn't normal. This isn't natural. And I made a comment, too, to several of my close friends. I said, they're not going to be happy until they get some death out of this. And by they, I mean specifically the people who run this evil matrix and who control HARP. And I could even be more specific, but I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah.
But certain people that run this country, this world.
Those who shan't be named.
And I'm not talking about the president, okay? They're like, oh, the president defunded it, and that's what you get. The comments, folks, from the people who were saying things about Texas and about the little girls that lost their lives and their families, predominantly from the blue states. I will say this. I'm going to go out and say this. And if you're a blue person, I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. I pray for you that you open your eyes. That lady from the Young Turks, she's even she's like, and the guy from the Young Turks is going, do I keep my audience or do I tell the truth?
Yeah.
I don't keep my audience. I'm going to keep lying. I'm going to keep lying. I'm a Turkish liar. Yeah,
Sweating.
You're absolutely a liar. Because you know the truth now. You have access to it, and you don't know what to do. So the comments from the Californians, I'm going to say right now, you people from California that are on that other side, you make me sick. You disgust me. You're welcome, by the way. You're welcome, America. You're welcome that Texas props you up and that we produce 40% of the freaking nation's economy at this point. We get nothing out of being in the union. Nothing. We are basically a slave now. Texas voted the other day. In 2027, starting in 2027, we are going to be accepting gold and silver as legal tender. That made headlines, national news. Whoa, Texas does this. Let me tell you something. If you live here, you know Texas has got it right. That should just be a normal thing. Why is that a major thing? Why is that even a major thing? Why? Somebody asked me about all these weird creatures that people see here in Texas. Why do you think that is? If you don't think that they're releasing these things, what do you think is happening? You think this is normal? I had a talk with an Orem. He's in the chat. He's L.A. Marzulli's. I just recorded with L.A. last week or earlier this week. We were talking about this, the beasts of the earth. And in that interview, you know, when L.A. releases it, you'll see, we talked about the beasts. What are the beasts of the earth? The Bigfoot, right? The Dogman, all these creatures. Men's hearts will fail. They will fail. And thank you for the donations. We are going to be, by the way, we are going to be taking donations, and we're going to be giving them to the families that are afflicted, some of whom are my own family. My family, two of my cousins lost. Their whole ranch was swept away, dude. I had video. They took video. His wife took video. And McConkey Hines, that's Brad Hines, my cousin. My dad and his mother are first cousins. By the San Gabriel that swelled up, took their barn, dude, took their cabin. I mean, the cabin is still standing, but it is destroyed because of the flood. Took their land, just wiped it out in just a matter of hours. They escaped, and they were like, hey, we got our lives. And they're such humble people. So I'm going to be trying to get as much money as I can together to try to help the people that are afflicted and whatever, and the donations, you know, if you can help. We need money ourselves, but you know what? The people who have the least always give the most. It's always that way. And I know what it's like to be in that current, in that water. When I was 15, I learned firsthand the power of water current. It took me 3 hours, folks, 3 hours. It was almost dark. And I was finally able to get to the bank. I couldn't, because the banks were steep, you know, it was real muddy and slick. I couldn't get out of it. Right there in the San Gabriel River, which got flooded, by the way. And what did I do? I jump up out of there. By the grace of God, I get to this one spot, and my friends risk themselves falling in to pull me out. These are the guys I saw the Dogman with. Thank you, Orem. Appreciate that. That's going to be going to help. My wife's going tomorrow. I got to prepare. I got a colonoscopy going on Tuesday. Please pray for me. I got things going on in my life. And so my wife's going, she's going to go buy like soap and just, you know, essentials for just the essentials for people that are in the shelters in Leander. They're in Leander, that happened in Georgetown, and all over Central Texas. They just knocked the crap out of us. And it's weird because it tapered off. It went down, the rain went down as far as like Rockdale, where I used to live as a kid. My friends out there reported that it wasn't too bad. It washed out a few places, but it didn't stay. But further to the east, it just kind of stopped. Now, this is a tropical storm. Why didn't East Texas get just completely destroyed? It might now that the land, that tropical storm has made landfall now. Watch everybody in South Carolina. Prayers for them. They're going to be dumped with a bunch of rain. And I have a woman I need to interview from Greenville, South Carolina, who saw a dogman and a vampire. A lot of that going on now. So back to what I was saying, though, I got out of the water, but I learned a lesson. And only by the grace of God that I was a strong swimmer. It was like swimming, making very little headway. And if I didn't have endurance and I wasn't as strong as I was, I finally was able to get up and walk. And then I'd slip and I'd get up and walk, and you would slip on these rocks. Man, I learned a lesson that day about the power of water and how strong it is. It is unbelievable. There was a flood that happened in 1998. Look it up, Anthony. In 1998, the San Marcos River, the Guadalupe River. Look it up. And my first encounter that we're going to talk about comes from that. And it is about zombies. It is. And not the dummies that we live around. Okay? No, they're zombies too, but And so whenever, you look at this situation, like I know 100% this is not a natural thing. This is not a normal thing. You're not going to convince me of that. No way. And like I said, if we would have been foolish and went into these certain areas, we may have been victims too, but we weren't. We stayed out of them. Karen Eaton says, I'm from Greenville. How is the weather there? Because I got to talk to somebody from there.
I think so. It was 22 inches of rainfall.
22 inches?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It says the flood exceeded previous records throughout the Guadalupe River Basin, with some areas experiencing flows at or above the 500-year flood level. It's considered the most significant flooding event downstream from Canyon Lake Dam, and the only time the Canyon Dam spillway overflowed, carving out the Canyon Lake Gorge.
That was in 1998, right?
Yep.
Was it October?
Guadalupe River, yep.
October.
October 17th and 18th.
Now, in 1991, when I first came to Austin to live, like my mom was already living here from like 1990. And so I would come and stay with her pretty regularly. But then I had to come to stay here for a while in 1991. I kind of went back and forth. I bounced back and forth to my hometown here in Rockdale. It's an odyssey, right? But it rained the entire month of October, which October is usually very rainy here. And then like this retaining wall collapsed onto the tennis court. If anybody would have been down there, they'd have been killed.
Yeah, I remember that retaining wall on that tennis court.
It collapsed.
I climbed it as a kid.
Yeah. And I remember being a young teenager, and it collapsed, wall collapsed, and I remember it rained like almost every day. It rained like 26 days out of whatever, like almost the entire month of October. It started like in September and rained through like December. So it was crazy. But I remember 1998 like did a repeat of that, and we got stranded in San Marcos. The girl that I dated at that time, she was just like, she was the bartender at the club, and she was like, we're not going to make it. And I was determined to try to make it to work. So I was even going to try and go to Ranch Road 12, which is Devil's Backbone, to try to get through. And she's like, we're going to get caught in a low water crossing. And I thought back on what happened to me when I was 15 and how hard it was to make it through that water in Jonah. And Jonah is bad, but it's not terribly bad like it could be. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was wading through that water, I saw like pools swirling, and I thought, if I get in there, I'm dead. That's where the deep part was. And I had to navigate through that. It took me 3 hours to go about a quarter mile. That's unbelievable, the power that water has. And I'm a strong swimmer. I'm a very strong guy. I had a lot of endurance. And even now, I do breathing exercises like every day. I want to get that Boz Rutan, that O2 trainer, that thing he was showing on Rampage's show. I want to get that. If anybody's used that, tell me how it is. It strengthens your lungs. Debbie, Debbie, thank you so much.
It's very kind of you.
So my wife literally is going right now as we speak. She's getting supplies and stuff for the people. She's determined to try to help, and I am so thankful that there are people like y'all that are willing to help, because we have to do something. We can't just sit here and not do anything. I offered assistance to my cousins. They said that they were okay for now, but they're the kind of people that are like, well, no, but still going to do it. I got to do it. I mean, you have to. And just because I was smart, and I was, not just smart, but like knowledgeable, like I know where all the low water crossings are. I mean, I told Anthony, I was like, we'll be fine. Just avoid this, and we did. But some people are new to this area too. They don't know. They have no idea where the water washes out. It's weird because you remember last weekend when we were coming back in the morning from work, and I was with you and Scorpion and Nelly. And I said, man, this is so dry. I said, but if it were to rain,
Mm-hmm.
People will be so caught off guard.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it before. I saw it in 98. I saw it in 07. I saw it in 91. Like that. Boom. And then you're in another reality. Let me tell you right now, folks, I am very proud of something. And then I promise you we're going to get started. We're almost at the hour here. My Astros. 4th of July. 4th of July. They go out to LA. The Astros were swiftly eliminated last year by the Tigers. I'm going to tell you what this has to do with everything. All that crap talk from people from California, in particular, Southern California. You got what you deserve. You voted for a president that defunded the blah, blah, blah. Dude, there's no way to predict what could have happened. No way. Unless he was doing HARP himself, because HARP did this.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. You hate us. You hate us because you ain't us, but you need us and you depend on us because we're Texas. And this isn't going to stop Texas. It's like all the attacks on PRT. You think it's going to stop us? This is a train, baby, and you can't stop it. I had a dream, though, yesterday that, and I had one yesterday. It was disturbing, and then another one today that Texas was under attack, and we are. We're under attack spiritually, and we're under attack physically. Everybody hates us. You hate us, right? So at the beginning of the season, I remember this. We were at the gym working out. We had just joined the gym that we're at now. I'm not going to say it because some stalker will go and show up and try to be like, "What are you doing here?" Because I got stalkers like crazy.
The only time they actually go to the gym.
Yeah, only time they go to the gym to video me. So I'm over there. I'm doing the pull downs, and I'm watching it. And they had the sound on, and there was nobody was late at night overnight, And so I always ask the front desk, "Hey, can you put the sound?" They're real cool there. And they're like, "Yeah, sure," because there's nobody there, right? Hardly a few people. And I was doing the pull downs, and it was spring training, and it was March. And listen to what I'm going to tell you, folks. This is interesting. They interviewed a couple of the Dodgers players because, it's spring training. What is there? All they have is basketball, right? There's nothing really going on. And so they interview these players from the Dodgers, and they were like, "You being the defending World Series champs, is there anybody you're really worried about, or your gun?" He goes, "Oh, everybody's gunning for us. We're the best." Blah blah blah. It's just a picture from the Dodgers, right? Cocky, kind of long-haired guy. And I'm watching these guys. They're in the National League now. I mean, the Astros are in the American League. We beat them in the World Series. I don't care. They're like, "They cheated. So did you. It came out. So did you. So did the Yankees. So did the Sox. So did everybody. So did the Indians." That pitcher from the Indians said the same thing. So the guy from the Padres. They're like, everybody's doing it. They just made a big deal out of the Astros doing it. Why? Because we're from Texas. That's why. It's been proven now that the Yankees did it and their records got sealed, right? So anyways, this guy, he's on there and he's like, this other guy walks up and he goes, "Well, there is the Astros series, the July 4th weekend series. We kind of circled that one." They're like, yeah. We're gonna beat up on the Astros, that World Series team, this Dodgers team. So cocky, because the Astros were expected to just kind of fade away this year and quit being, a decade of dominance, and they're just like, well, Astros aren't really expected to do much. They lost what's his face, Tucker. They lost what's his name, went to the Red Sox. Oh God, their best hitter, him and Altuve were their 1-2 punch. Little short guy, played third base. Good grief, I can't remember his name. Help me out. Anyways,
I was going to say Altuve, but
not Altuve. No. It's a little white dude. They lost him. So they're over there like, well, they lost these players. They lost their pitchers, whatever. McCullers been hurt forever. So they weren't expected to do much. He went to the Red Sox. Just put free agent Red Sox. Somebody in the chat might remember. They weren't expected to do anything. They were nobody. They got beat by the Tigers first round. That's it. The Astros, they were predicting it last year. They're like, yeah, Astros are done. Forget them. They hate us as Texas. They hate
Bregman.
us. Bregman, yeah, Alex Bregman. So they lost Bregman. But Bregman said something when he was with the Bo Sox. He said, even with me gone, don't count them out. He goes, the Astros are a good team. He goes, they'll be back next year. Everybody laughed at him. They thought, oh, you're just being a homer. You played for him for, a decade or whatever. You're just being a homer. No, he said it. He said, don't count them out. They're still going to be good, right? The Dodgers talking about how when they come out to LA, they're gonna beat up on them. It's gonna be fun to do that, in front of all of America, July 4th weekend. Well, guess what happened on July 4th, folks? The game went over an hour longer than it should have. You know why? Because the Astros delivered an epic ass whooping, the likes of which the Dodgers have never had at home in LA. 18-1. When you beat a team by 17 points, you're playing football.
Yeah.
And I was keeping up with the score a little bit. When I saw it, I said, what? And then I said, this is, so I looked it up, and I was kind of keeping up with it, in real time. And then I had things to do. I had to, work and stuff. And I was conducting an interview too, but it was, by the time it was over, dude, everybody had scored like 2 or 3 times. It was crazy. And then they're like making a joke. They're like, oh, Altuve's legs are getting tired from crossing home plate. They were so embarrassed after all that crap you talk. Right? He was a spring training. You're going to beat them up, right? You're going to do this and that for America. America wants you to beat up Texas, right? They want you to beat up Texas. That's what you want, to beat up Texas. Then yesterday, they were going to get him back. They had Ohtani on the mound, right? That amazing Japanese ace that the Astros always had his number. When he played for the California Angels, another LA team, they used to beat him up on the reg. They used to whoop him all the time. If they asked him before the game, he didn't say nothing. He was just like, The Astros wanted to, before the game, they wanted to pray, get this, for the flooding family, and the Dodgers didn't let them. The Dodgers front office, that's not the players, but the Dodgers front office says, no, we're not going to have an open prayer before the game. So to Ohtani's credit, he did go out there with 3 or 4 other Dodger players and pray with the Astros, on the field. But they didn't do an official prayer.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And then the fireworks that they had planned for yesterday, for the 4th of July, nobody was even there left to watch them, because the game went on for over an hour longer, and it was 18-1. See, that's what happens when you get very cocky and you say things like that. And then Ohtani gets up there, he gets shellacked, and the Astros win again. So today, the series is already, even if the Dodgers won today, at least save face and win the 3rd game, right? No, they got their ass beat again today. That's why I'm like, hey, man, this is me. Here we are. You got what you had coming to you. You vile, evil city, LA. You are a vile, evil city overrun with vampires. Vampiric people. And my Astros, who experienced the flooding back in 2017 when all those people died, they went out there and they delivered an epic ass whooping on you. And then you don't even want to let them pray. Shame on you. Shame on you, LA. You are disgusting, vile. Los Angeles, you are a disgusting, vile. They shouldn't call it the city of angels. They should call it the city of archons. Only Jerusalem more evil, according to Jesus. People think Jerusalem's like this holy city. Jesus told his brother James, flee, for it is full of archons. Brother, don't stay here. If you really knew what Israel was back in the day and why Jesus was like, leave this place. The Romans hated being there.
Yeah.
The Romans were afflicted there. And they're like, it's the God of Israel. Jesus tells us exactly who and what that is and why. Then you go, city of angels, right? City of archons. Evil, vile people. Doing evil, vile things. Nest of vipers. Nest of vipers. What happens? Astros go out there. You want to let us pray? Fine. We're going to beat you into another dimension. Now, we are the number 1 team in baseball. Beat you so bad, and the Astros have a great record. With 3 of their best hitters out, they did this. They willed it into existence. You want to talk about beating the Astros? When they interviewed them, they didn't say a word about it. They were just like, maybe we're in a rebuilding year. We're going to try and do our best, put our best foot forward, and try to produce a good team. You're the best team in baseball, man. Going on your 9th year of power and strength, representing Texas the way you should. Congratulations to you. You know, the Cowboys, a lot of people don't like the Cowboys. I could say this about the Cowboys. They're the only team that didn't have a player kneel. You keep messing with Texas and watch when, dude, we're going to be like a match that strikes. Boom. And Texas is right there. Keep it up. Because God, guns, and glory, that's gold, all of that, all those G's. God, guns, glory, gold, gangster, man. Texas. So let's talk about Texas. Let's talk about some of the weird things that happen in the great state of Texas. In 1998, this guy's name is Sam. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. This gal's name is Sam. She goes by Sam. It's a female. She says, me and my boyfriend were walking along the Guadalupe. We were observing the bank. Now, this was an email that was sent to me. I couldn't get a hold of this person, but she sent this to me. This was about 2 or 3 years old. I looked it up because of what's going on here, and it gave me the idea, you know what, we should just do one about these zombies. Now, there were people that lost their lives in too. And she goes, we were walking along the banks of this historic flood, the Guadalupe River. She's like, I'll never forget. She goes, I was a student. And I was a student at Texas State. That time it was called Southwest Texas State. She's like, and I see this man come up out of the water. She's like, it scared the heck out of me. It was dusk. She's like, what was so telling about this guy is his body looked bloated and deformed. And she was like, couldn't believe what she was seeing. And he walks like kind of like he's staggering around. Her boyfriend, she doesn't say her boyfriend's name in the email, but she says her boyfriend got scared, squeezed my hand, says, honey, there's something not right about this guy. She's like, this was in downtown San Marcos, and the water was just flowing. And I remember I was there. And she said, this man comes up out of the water. And she's like, his eyes were bulged out. One of them was hanging down, and he looked like a zombie. She's like, he looked just like a zombie. She's like, it was unbelievable. She said, I watched this man just come toward us, and my boyfriend grabbed my arm and said, let's run. And she goes, and we ran across the street and up this hill toward the campus. We looked back, and he was gone. She described him. She said his skin was ashen gray. His mouth was like open, and it was kind of moved over. I think she said it was like off to the right. Like it was, like his jaw was hanging out. Like he looked like a deceased man. And he crawled up out of that water, and his eyes were bulged out. Didn't look like he was capable of closing his eyes, according to what she said in the email. This email was from like 2022. So yeah, it's an old email. I mean, but when she said that, she said, and she's like, and then for the next 2-3 days, she goes, I couldn't stop thinking about him. His clothes were tattered and torn. He looked like he was wearing a suit, or like he had been. And she goes, I kept thinking maybe somebody's corpse was dumped out of, from like a cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, but how? How did he crawl out of the water and walk around like a man, like a living man? So what is that? That's a zombie.
Yeah.
Like, that is a zombie. But when they turned around, he was gone. And she goes, I don't know if he fell back into the water. Thank you to everybody who donated, by the way. We appreciate that. We gotta, my wife's going to go tomorrow and try to buy supplies and help, or she's doing it right now, actually. But I'm sure we'll do it again tomorrow because my wife's going to probably want to do more and whatever. So thank you to everybody who is donating. Did you send Nellie that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because she's got a list. Oh, and you guys are awesome to be helping like that. So anyways, and pray, please pray for the people affected of these floods. And so this guy was walking, and then he's gone, right? But she goes, we heard him call out of the water. We saw him out of the water. Such an interesting story, but that's just one. And so Sam said she went to sleep. She's like, I went to sleep and I woke up. She's like, and it was, October. It wasn't hot. She's like, but I was sweating. But it was like, yeah, quantum potential. Yeah, exactly. American. Ooh, brutal, but true. And so she ends up like, she goes, I end up waking up in this cold sweat. She's like, it was unreal. She goes, and I'm laying there. She goes, and I'm just like, and my boyfriend, she goes, I'm living in the dorm at this time. My boyfriend has an apartment. And she said the classes had been canceled because of the flooding. And she said that it was probably a few days, before they went back. And she's like, I couldn't believe the devastation that this flood had caused. And she's like, she heard, and she didn't confirm, she wasn't 100% sure, but she had heard that they had found a body further downstream of a man that was going to a job interview and he had been swept away. So I don't know. Did she see this man? Was it him? Because she kept thinking about it. And she said that she said it was the fourth day. The third day is when she had that, when she woke up like that. The next day, which would have been the fourth day, she didn't say the fourth day, but the next day, she ends up waking up and seeing a man standing at the foot of her bed. And it looked like the guy she had seen, but he was not all zombified. And he just stood there and he was like this. And she said it looked like the way his arm was out. She goes, I just saw him for a split second, but she goes, it looked like how when somebody's grasping, like if they're underwater.
Yeah.
Horrific. And she's like, I couldn't shake it. She goes, and for the rest of my life, I've had dreams off and on about it. She goes, I think that was more than a dream. She goes, but since then, I've had dreams. She thinks it was just her mind replaying what she and her boyfriend had seen. She ended up dating that guy for another 6 months, and then they split up. But she goes, we remained friends over the years. But she did say, she's like, that they had talked about it a couple times. Whenever they would see each other on Facebook or whatever, years later, they connected on Facebook. And she was just like, we would just be like, wow. She goes, I'm married, have kids. He's married, has kids. He lives down in North Texas. She lives in South Texas. And they have talked about it, I remember going down to the you have to cross to get to the I-35, right? And right there by the campus, there's a low water crossing there. And if it floods in San Marcos, it's just going to be, you can't go cross it. But I went down there and I was right there by where the Joe's Crab Shack used to be. And I took a video. We had a little video camera back then. And I took a video of the water. I don't know whatever happened to that video. It was me and my friend Cal. We went down there and we were stranded. And my girlfriend at the time, she was at work. And so we took a video camera and went down there and we videoed the flood. It was crazy, man. I mean, there were trees, shooting by us. And so that happens periodically. It does. And so it happened again recently. That's what happened. But the way it happened was so weird. Like it's there, and then it goes, it's like it just hovered over us. A friend of mine, he's up in Oklahoma gambling. He called me. And he's like, they're trying to kill you and Alex Jones. He said that because he knows Alex too. And he was just like, they're trying to kill both of y'all. So, I don't talk to Alex. I've met him. He's not like my best friend or anything. We're not buddies or whatever, but it wouldn't surprise me if they were trying to get people to shut up because, and they want to shut you down before you get too big, before you get up there and start making problems, because we're over here saying things that people they don't like it. And the zombies, it's a funny topic tonight. They're coming out like, truth, bad, tell lies.
They come where all the brains are to feed.
Yeah, they want to eat the brains. They want the paratrooper. Paratrooper has delectable taste because they're not vaccinated, most of them, and they are. They have a brain.
Yeah,
paratrooper is a delicious meal.
All the IQ points are over here.
Yeah, they want the IQ point. They're like IQ.
It's a buffet.
But then once they start waking up, they're like, geez, They start, then,
Yeah.
then here comes the military-industrial complex. They're like, get down, zombie. Now that you have reached a level of cognition, they put you down. What's up, Chris? How you doing? Chris Kramer. So, I just, it's a weird thing, this zombie subject is a weird thing. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. This is a weird thing. This was one of the stories I was just dying to tell this one. So this person, their name is Willie. They reached out to me. Willie is 47 years old. He reached out to me 2 months ago, back in April. Was April 2 months ago? April to May to June.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, about three months ago, a little less than 3 months ago. Willie reached out to me and he says, I have a zombie encounter. So I actually was just, when I got his story, I was actually able to, he put his phone number on there. That's a good thing. Folks, listen to me. If you want me to talk to you and tell your encounter, the best way to do it is to get your phone number on there, okay? Leave a phone number on the email. The only people that really check the email are me, him, Nelly, and Tony. That's pretty much it. You're not going to have a bunch of people. We're not going to call or give your number out or whatever. So if you can trust us, I'm not responsible, whatever, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a responsible person, but I'm not responsible if you're giving it out to everybody. Somebody calls you, that's not me, because I don't give your number out.
No.
But if you want your story told, that's the best way to do it, is put it on there, right? So this guy was smart. Like, he put his, and I'm not saying you're not smart. I'm just saying you're not responsible. But so he put his number on there. He says, here's my number, Wolf. So I call Willie. And it's funny because my best friend that died back in 2020, I hate saying unalived because it's triggered people, whatever. He died of brain cancer in 2020. My best friend, one of my best friends, him and Scorpion, probably my two best friends in the world. And I don't count my brother. My brother's like, that's my brother. I don't count. People's like, he's always like, oh, wow, about me, I'm your best friend. I was like, I'm your my best friend, but you're my brother, right? But these are my best friends. And he passed away. So this guy kind of reminded me of him because he's from Louisiana and he's a black dude, man. And so we started talking. We kind of hit it off. And Willie told me a crazy story. He goes, don't ever buy anything off of Facebook Marketplace. I told him, I said, too late, man. I'm guilty. I've done it. I've bought things on Facebook. I've sold things on Facebook. So he meets this guy in Louisiana, right? And I'm not even going to say the name of the town because I don't know. Let's just keep it at that. So Willie, he goes to meet this guy. And this dude is selling 3 pairs of sunshades. And these were nice shades. Like, they were high-end, expensive. And then when the guy started talking, the guy was like, the guy on the phone anyway, when he talked, he had this weird reverberating voice that sounded like it was like a really bad echo, but it also sounded a little bit robotic. That's what he said. And Willie was like, man, he's like, dude, Stanfeld, no, he did not. And so anyways, this particular guy, he tells me, he says, sounded kind of like it was a reverb, there. And he goes, and it was kind of robotic and it was like an echo. And he's like, it was really weird. He goes, it was really weird. He goes, but the guy was like, hey, are you interested in a TV? He goes, I got a TV too. And I got a couple, I'm selling a bunch of different stuff. He goes, well, there were 3 pairs of sunglasses. He's like, and the guy was like, he had a couple other things like some jewelry, whatever. He was like, damn, what is this dude just selling everything, right? So when he gets there to this gas station that they met at, and it's right there on the edge of town, he goes, I don't know why he chose that one. He's like, but I'm sitting there waiting, and I see somebody come from around the back. He goes, I don't see a vehicle anywhere. And the guy tells him, no, I don't need a TV or jewelry, none of that. I just want the 3 pairs of sunglasses, and no, that's it. $100 for 3 pairs of sunglasses that go for $200 to $300. So it's like, So I told him, I said, did you think maybe it was stolen? He goes, it crossed my mind. He goes, but at that time, I'm not the most moral person. I was just trying to get a good deal. He said, I learned my lesson. He goes, and this is what he told me. He said he literally felt like God was telling him, oh, okay, you feel it in your heart that this is not right, but you did it anyway. So you learned your lesson, right? And so he said that this guy comes from around the side of the building. He goes, and it's dark. He gets out. He goes, he's got a flashlight. He goes, and he wanted his brother to go with him, but his brother had to work. And he really thought about telling the guy, hey, look, man, I'm not going to do this. So he said, how about tomorrow? And the guy's like, nah, I already got 2 other people lined up. I'm going to sell them. When this guy walks up, he's like, it's dark, and he's wearing a pair of the shades, and he's like got something in his hand. He hands it to him. He says he looks, he sees the guy's mouth is like open, right? He's like, I noticed his nose, the way he was breathing, it was like it was weird. It was like how a dog sounds. That's what he said. And then he said that he handed him a bag. He's like, and I grabbed the bag and I look in there and there's 2 pairs of shades. And he goes, there's 2 pairs of shades in here, brother. Where's the other one? And he goes, oh, yeah. And he said when he spoke, the guy's mouth didn't move. And it was this weird, reverberating, computer-generated mouth sound. This world is a weird place, I'm telling you. He's like, and he goes, the guy's arm kind of goes up like this, like it's like slow, and then it goes real fast. That's what he told me. Pulls the sunglasses off. He goes, here. He's like, there again, his mouth barely moved. He's like, I take the sunglasses and I'm looking at him. He goes, and look at this guy's face. And it looks like part of his face is coming apart. And he's like, I am grossed out. He's like, I'm like, And he goes, at that moment, I just wanted to hand him back the sunglasses. And the guy puts his hand out and he's like, pay me. And he's like, okay. He's like, all right. He goes, you know what? I don't think, and the guy's like, don't back out now or there'll be a problem. And he goes, what do you mean there's going to be a problem? He's like, I don't want problems. And he said the way that the voice was like, I don't want problems. It was robotic. It was weird. Then they get into an argument. He goes, okay. So he goes, I go to give him $100. He takes it and he like crumples it up, yanks it out of my hand. He opens his hand and he goes, the head kind of looks down at it. He's like, and then I notice his eyes. He's like, it's dark, but I kind of noticed, by the lights that are on the street, his eyes look white. He's like, this dude's blind. There's no way this guy can be. He's like, and when he started to talk, his tongue kind of fell out. And I said, what do you mean? Willie, what does that mean? He says, well, his tongue kind of came down below his bottom lip and was kind of hanging there. And I was thinking, I was like, whoa. And he goes, yeah, dude, it was weird. He goes, this was not a person. I don't know what this was. He's like, and this guy was taller than me, big guy. And he said he looked like, and this is what he said. He kind of paused and he said, like a zombie or like Frankenstein's monster. I mean, because he was big, right? He was a big guy. And he says this thing, he says thing. At this point, he's not even calling it a man. He's calling it a thing. He said, this thing told me, give me $2 more $100. And he was like, you said $100. He's like, no, $100 per shades. These are worth 3 times that much. And he goes, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. And he goes, no refunds. And the guy, he was like, okay, nah. And he hands him the shades back and he puts a hand out and they just fall off of the thing's hand. He said, man, I said, just keep the money. He goes, I ran and I got in my truck. He's like, I pulled out of there. He goes, I was on the road and I was gone. I didn't see a vehicle around there. And so we're talking and I asked him, I said, Willie, that's an incredible story, man. I was like, what do you think it was? I mean, honestly, he says, dude, I don't know, like a damn robot zombie. The way he said it to me, like, I don't know, man, that might ever be like a robot. And I was listening and I was like, I said, dude, I mean, like, did anything happen after that? And he goes, no, I mean, nothing, that I could really think of. Then I always give people a little bit of time. And I told him, I said, well, we did an episode on zombies, blah, 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 blah. And he comes back, he goes, wait, whoa, you know what? There was something. I said, okay. You know how Anthony's looking at me smiling?
Yeah.
Because they always do. They always come back with me with something like, well, there was this one time, And he did. He says there was this other thing that happened. He said, he goes, my sister, I'm going to get her to email you something that happened to her. He's like, I was with her, but I was asleep. And we were headed to Texas. He goes, we got cousins in Beaumont. Because he don't live far from the border. I mean, I'll just be honest. I mean, he lives near Vinton, right? I'll just say where he lives. But I don't want people to, mess with this guy. His family lives over there, whatever. But I mean, he's from Lake Charles, which is weird. Like, because Willie My Willie, my friend, he was from Lake Charles.
Yeah.
And so our Willie was from there, and he didn't know him, you know, but he's like, I was born in Lake Charles, but I didn't live there. I lived, you know, in outskirts of Vinton. They lived down in the sticks, but this was in town, you know. I told him, I said, man, dude, just, I'm not gonna lie, I used to fight down there, you know, and I was like, you just go out into the woods near Vinton, you think something's gonna grab you. Like, you just drive by the woods. Like, you're driving by the woods, you're like, let's go to Lake Charles, right? Something's gonna run out and grab you. You're thinking the Rougarou just right, he's just right there. The Rougarou is right there on his phone. He's like, oh, here's a car. Hold on. I'll call you back.
Oh, hold up.
I'll call you back, Dracula. Hold up. I gotta do something. He runs out in front of your car. You know, it's like, just kind of expecting it to happen. I told Willie that. I said, you're kind of expecting something to happen. It's gonna happen, you know. And he goes, what do you think it was? He asked me, you know, and I'm like, I didn't see it. What do you? So I kind of tease him. I'm like, you're the one seeing weird shit, you know. You tell me. He goes, he just kind of laughed. I said, no, for real. I said, all joking aside, I was like, that voodoo, you know. That's when it got interesting, because he goes, you know, there was a woman that used to be a witch. She was a black lady too. She was Creole, and she lived down this bottomland down there. He's like, me and my sister were driving one time to Beaumont to see our cousins. My granny lived in Beaumont on my dad's side. And he said, I was asleep. And my sister, she wakes me up. He goes, and it was crazy. She's just like, she calls him Buddy. Buddy was his name when he was a little boy, right? His grandpa gave it to him. She's like, Buddy. And he goes, what? And she goes, I just saw a werewolf. Like, it was on the side of the road. He goes, and down that county road right there, that country road, they have parishes there, right? Down that parish road. He goes, so back bottom land, you go down there, there's a bottom right there. He goes, this always washed out. This was months ago, before the flood, right? He said, you go down, and it's always, that creek overflows all the time, and there's a witch that lives back up in there. Well, he goes, she don't know more. He goes, she did back in the 90s. She died like in 2000. And people were seeing like weird stuff down there, like balls of light and all this other stuff. And his sister, she said that she saw something really, really strange there one time when her and some friends went out there. She used to date, Wade says it, he's like, she used to date this crazy redneck white guy. He goes, and my sister's really dark. He goes, she's really dark. Like, she's very dark skinned. He goes, and this dude was like white, bright, like just very cool guy. But he goes, he was so white. He went up to the lake one time. He goes, and he just burned like a vampire. And he was joking, right? And he goes, and the guy was really cool, man. And the guy used to live down near the bayou, and he was a gator hunter. Like, this guy was deep Cajun, deep woods.
Yeah.
He's like, I met some of his family one time. They were real cool. He goes, but they were all kind of tan looking. I go, what happened to this guy? So that guy's family kind of jokingly called him the vampire, right? But it's weird. He goes, because the guy had some weird abilities. Like, he would have dreams that would come true, stuff like that. And she was with this guy for a while, you know. And he goes, so they went down there when that witch had supposedly died. And he said that they saw this green ball of light bouncing around, and it was like a swampy area. East Texas and Louisiana are almost like the same thing.
Yeah.
You go to East Texas, they're already talking like this. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there,
Yeah.
you know. You
can only tell a difference once you cross the state line, and the roads in Louisiana immediately
the roads
become
are horrible.
garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Texas roads are good in Louisiana, but there are already a bunch of Cajuns down there. Like, you go down to Orange, you know, you're already in Cajun land. They'll talk about that. You're just like, what?
I said, well, you're going to get in a fight, and you're going to be on a lieutenant. Going to throw hands up in your face, boy.
Don't be on nobody here over there. You where you from? You go on with that, Dale. You're just like, I just want to get some gas. I don't know what's going on here. Are you trying to sell me beef jerky? I don't know.
Boy,
You know, you already get it.
Yeah.
Beaumont, they might as well annex Beaumont and call it, you know, Louisville or something. I mean, that's what it is. And then you go out to West Texas, and it's like, that's part of New Mexico.
Yeah.
You can't tell when you go from there into New Mexico. It's like the same thing. It's just a desert. You know, everybody's wearing sombreros and they're leaned down. I'm joking. They're holding a machete.
Wearing ponchos.
They get up and they're like, "Sí, señor." It's like on Young Guns too. Puts his head in the water and he's like, "You know who I am?" They're like, "See." They got the machete ready to kill Rudabaugh, Arkansas Dave. Was a real guy, Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh. But yeah, they're just like, yeah. That's kind of what it is. West Texas is a deserty area. I keep saying we're going to do this, but I am going to do this because I'm usually the one that's, you know, saying, hey, we got to do this and I got to make it happen. But I'm going to take some videos of this area around here. You will see how green and lush it is here. There are people like during the drought, which I think was man-made. I do.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, it's a semi-arid. Where? What are you talking? Bullshit. What are you talking about?
Since when?
Since when? I mean, there's no water in San Antonio. Really? Then how are 1.2 million people living there? There's 1 million over here in Austin. I mean, like, what are you talking about? People say things and they don't know what they're talking about. I live in a forest. I live in a forest. They literally, it's all around us. I mean, we are in an arboreal forest. I mean, you ever seen Flash Gordon? We're the tree people. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, it's there's nothing but woods around here and caves, you know? So it's funny to me when people say that. You're like, what are you talking about? And then if you go from here east, it don't get any, there's some farmland, you know, and then it gets woods again. That's it. And then all the way to Louisiana, it's just nothing but woods, just thick woods. So it's funny that people say that. Yeah, Scorpion, the Riverwalk. I mean, that's San Antonio, you know. Even one of my really good friends said that he used to live in San Antonio. He said it was semi-arid. I'm like, maybe recently, but it's not. It's pretty, that area where the flooding, part of the area where it flooded southwest from here, that's right outside of San Antonio. And San Antonio is very wooded. So is Austin. You know, now you go further south and it gets kind of, the trees get smaller. It's still green. It's not a desert. It doesn't get a deserty until you get out there in the panhandle. And then it becomes desert. But the flooding, you know, was west of here. It's still very wooded area. And there's a lot of water. There's a lot of water here. There's lakes all over the place. So I don't know what these people are talking about when they say it's like a desert. I'm like, a quarter of the state might be, maybe a third at the most would be semi-arid, but most of it's like a woods. And what's weird too, like up in the north is like it's prairie, you know, where we had our conference, people came. I don't know what's up with white settlement.
Yeah.
Like it's the only spot in that whole area that looks barren.
Yeah.
It's so gross. It's so gross there, dude. I didn't pick it. Ken Gerhard did. Ken, you did that to me. I don't know what you did that.
Blame
to us.
him.
Blame Ken. Blame Canada. Right. So what's it called? The lake rock. What's it called? White Rock Lake or whatever. Where the Lake Worth.
Yeah.
Where the Lake Worth monster. Right. Where Lyle Blackburn's written a bunch of stuff about it. It's just right there. So you drive a little bit north of White Settlement where the conference was at, and there's a big lake right there. And I'm like, why is all this water right here and this gross up there? Because y'all put a bunch of cement there. That's why. So that place is weird, man. And they can't do math. The people there, they don't know how to do math. So anyways, so there's this gross spot that we were at, you know. But other than that, it's very green. All over Texas is pretty green. That's a lot of prairie. And then you go down by Hillsboro, Waco, it starts turning into woods again. And there's just woods all over the place. So that's where we live. This guy out in East Texas, they were driving. He goes, we were close to the border, right? And we were driving right by where that witch supposedly lived. He goes, my sister went out there. They saw this green ball of light come out of the big creek turns into like a little small lake, you know, a little small one. He didn't tell me the name of it, but he said it came out and it kind of floated and bounced around. And when it came toward them, there were three of them. It was her friend, and this guy. And there were four people altogether, but three people that saw it. The other guy was by the car, and he was doing something. He was rolling something. So he didn't see it. He was rolling tortillas. He was rolling, he was like, I'm going to make some tortillas. I don't know why a black guy in East Texas would talk like that, but he said, I'm going to make some tortillas, yo. All right. So he was there, and she goes, so my friend was with me. She's like, when we saw this thing come toward us, she goes, it had a face on it. It was a green ball, and the face looked like a goblin. And so they just thought it was a witch. So the people there, they call that the witch light. They say it's like a witch. Mm-hmm. But anyway, they were driving, and she saw this creature come up to the road and stand up, and it looked like a werewolf. But he missed it. He didn't see it. So he says, I was going to let my sister tell that story. He goes, but it's not a real long, involved story. But he said there was that, and then the witch light. And then he said he saw something really weird, like about a week after the whole incident with the weird Frankenstein's monster guy. I don't know what to call it. He goes, I was walking through the hood. He goes, now I mean the hood, I mean like the projects, right? He goes, I was over there to go to my auntie's house. He's like, I hated going over there. What he said. He goes, I hated going over there, man. All these hustlers shooting dice, you know. And he said that I asked him about this too. Like over there in East Texas, and I've heard about it in Hearn too. They have this story called the Black Bunny Man. Now, when he said he was from Beaumont, I talked to this guy a couple months ago, and I wrote down a bunch of stuff that he was telling me. I said, do you know about the Bunny Man? He goes, oh yeah, dude. And so he gave me a guy. He goes, it never happened to me. He goes, my uncles would talk about it. It's like a weird phenomenon. He said, my uncle can tell you a story about a Black Panther. He can tell you a story about the Bunny Man, whatever. So I got in touch with his uncle. His uncle's got at first I thought he said Marcus. Now, this isn't the first time I've heard this before. I actually know a guy. His name is Marvcus. So when I was talking to his uncle,
very original.
This cracks me up, dude. I'm going to do a reenactment. I told him I was going to do this, and he said, he's a really funny guy. I said, dude, you should be a comedian.
Also, okay.
This is what he says right here.
Get a kick out of it.
So I called him up. This is what happened. I said, ding, ding, ding. I don't even need to do that, do I? And then he goes, start talking. It's your dime. And I go, I'm looking. He goes, don't stutter. Say what you got to say. I said, sir, I'm looking for a guy named Marcus. He goes, ain't no Marcus here. There's a Marvcus. He goes, my parents couldn't talk or spell good, but yeah, I'm Marvcus. Dude, I was cracking up, dude. I said, dude, oh my gosh. Okay. So I told this guy, I said, look, I'm going to tell you like this. You're not the first Marvcus I've met. And there used to be a guy named Marvcus Patton that played for the Buffalo Bills. He goes, yeah, I know that dude. He's told my name. So he had me rolling. I started laughing. So I told this guy, I said, Marvcus, my name is Josh Turner. He goes, oh yeah, from the table, from the paranormal table. He kept calling me paranormal table. I said, look. We're going to do this. I'm going to call you Marvcus, and you're going to call me Wolf. It's paranormal roundtable. He goes, yep, that's what I said. That's not what you said, but that's fine. He goes, yeah, I've been expecting your call, man. And look, Salem says Jamarcus. I know a Jamarcus too, but I went to school with a Jamarcus, but no,
so did I.
This guy's name was Marvcus. So Marvcus starts talking. He goes, what you want to talk about? And I said, well, your nephew. He goes, yep. Which one? I got about 20 of them. I said, he gave me your number. He goes, oh yeah, I remember. And he starts talking, and he's a funny guy to talk to. Like when you do this too, you get to talk to people. They don't really know you that well. That's kind of cool, you know. But he was just like, I'm gonna be eating while we're talking. And then we're talking about this stuff, and he asked me, he goes, you like ribs? And I'm like, well, yeah, I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, I mean, they're good. He goes, these ribs are good. Let me tell you, I'm gonna let you know that right now. I said, Marvcus, I have no way to know that. You can take my word for it. You can take my word for this story, right? This is a good point. I said, so, okay, so I believe you. I believe those ribs are delicious. I said, as long as they are, from a normal animal. He's like, you been going with that deal. What you think I'm doing, eating possum? I said, I don't know what you're eating. I said, you said you're eating. He said, these are pork spare ribs. I said, okay, good, delicious, good. We're good for you. And he started talking about how they know how to barbecue down there better in Central Texas. I said, no, they don't. He goes, I know where the goat is tied of Central Texans. He goes, you talk about their barbecue. I said, you're right. Texas right here, there's a little thing there, man. The people in North Texas think they got something. East Texas think they got something. Don't do that to us. We here in Central Texas, we know what barbecue is. Taylor and Lockhart. Yeah. Those are the 1-2 right there. You're missing out. If you're not in that triangle.
Thorndale.
You're missing out. So we started talking. Very interesting guy. And I'll get to his story in a minute. His story is pretty interesting. So I closed it up with Willie, and I said, Willie, so you think you saw a zombie? He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm walking through the projects, going to my auntie's house. He goes, I owed my cousin $15. We bet on a football game. He's like, I'm not a big gambler, My cousin, he goes, he lives at the casino. I was like, yeah. He goes, no, he really does. He rented he won a bunch of money, and he rented a room. That's what he said. He was at Diamond Jack's. That's what he said. He goes, my cousin lived at Diamond Jack's for like 2 months and went broke. Now he's in the projects. So he was telling me all kinds of funny stuff. And he goes, well, he's $15. He's like, where's my money? Where's my money? Like a crackhead, That's what he said. He goes, my cousin's like a crackhead. He's like, give me my money. It's $15. It's a quarter tank of gas. That's my words. But so he goes, I was giving him money. He goes, I hate going through there. There's always shooting dice. And they're like, hey, man, what's up? You want something? He goes, I don't want anything from you. You want some baby clothes or some tennis shoes? Is what he was telling me, some funny stuff. He was just cracking me up, man. It's a funny family. So he says he's going through there. He goes, and I see this guy looking at a phone, looking down. And he's like, it looks like a big, tall guy. He goes, he's got this torn sleeves, right? He goes, I see this tattoo. He goes, I couldn't really make out the tattoo. It was like a mermaid or something, He goes, and I'm like, that's that dude from the other night. And he's sitting there he's like wearing sunglasses. He goes, he's got his leg up, and he's like, like one leg up on the wall, and he's looking at his phone. And he goes, and I stare at him. He goes, and then I turn my head, and I'm like, he goes, I want to get a better look. So I come around the corner a little more. I look again, he's gone. He's like, Wolf, there is no way that man disappeared that fast. He said that was either a ghost or he stepped into a portal. So, if you've ever been interviewed by me, you know how I do it. And I said, well, what do you think it was? He's like, I'm hoping you would tell me. I said, I got to ask you first, man. You call me guy. He says, I think he was like a spirit or something. I don't know. I go, but it was very real, wasn't it? And he goes, yeah, I grabbed that $100 out of my hand. He's like, and back then, he goes, there were rumors that this witch, if you went down there to her place, she had this guy that would come out and basically strong arm you if you were in that area. And people even claimed to have shot this dude, and it just kind of made him go like that, like he just kind of. He said, I didn't believe it. He goes, I was like a 19-year-old kid. I didn't believe none of this. He's like, but I know right there by that road, he goes, my sister saw that werewolf looking creature. And he goes, I don't know if it meant anything, but he goes, I didn't see it. He goes, but she did. He goes, I looked in the rearview mirror. It was dark. We were almost to the Texas state line, whatever. And so anyway, that's his story. And so that was weird because he wasn't even going to mention that, he was going to. So I kind of had to keep him, hey, Tiffany, what's going on? Yeah, you sent me some stories too, Tiffany. We'll get to yours too. And so there are a lot of weird things in this world. And you would be shocked at how many times somebody has told me and Anthony they have seen something zombie-like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been eating dinner and people, okay, so we ate dinner the other day on July 4th and we got stories from the waitress and the manager. Where else should we go? Oh, at the Juice Land, the shake place. A guy gave me a story there. So over this July 4th weekend, I counted. I got 5 different people who gave me weird stories over this weekend, and one of them was a zombie story that happened on Friday, July 4th. So I'm sitting there going like, you know what? I told Anthony yesterday, I said, let's do one about zombies, and let's just go. So I spent this all day. I slept until right about time to get up to go, take a shower or whatever. Because I didn't go to bed until late because I was working on the show. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. Because last night we were real busy and a lot going on. And so I just was like, I have to get on there and do this. And here's another one. We're not going to do Marcus's stories right now because this is about zombies, but we'll put that one in our back pocket and we'll do it. But Marcus, you were a very colorful and interesting man to talk to. I will give you that. And your friend Patrick. Patrick is a Cajun dude. They're like Forrest Gump and Bubba Gump, except it would be the opposite. Like if Bubba Gump was Forrest and Bubba Gump was, it was like that. Patrick was his friend. Patrick, a very, very colorful dude too. He's a white dude. He's a Cajun guy, real interesting guy. He grew up out in the bayou and he saw something, dude. Like it makes how when you hear somebody talk in your face, you get that tingly feeling. Like when he was telling me
that
about
flush
that,
feeling.
and I told him, I said, believe it or not, Patrick, I told you this, dude. I have heard stuff like that. That's not the first time I've heard of something like that. It was like a reptile thing that could walk on 2 legs. Very creepy story. Like he was like, dude, I saw something. After that, he moved. I would too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be living down there in Gatorland to begin with. I would just, no, I wouldn't be. But people live where they live. And if you're raised on the water in that swamp, you know what I mean? I guess you're used to it. I've been through there and it's like, eesh. And they're over there like, yeah, this is the best life ever. I'm like, no, it's not. I was like, have you been to Central Texas? No, I don't leave the swamp. I live down up in that swamp up here. I do this. Like, yeah, I can tell. Because if you left, you'd be like, wow, this is normal.
Got everything I need right here. Why need to go there for? Ain't nothing there for me.
And they talk about our food, and I'm like, our food is great. You have no idea. I didn't get this belly right here. Right here. It's mostly on the bottom. But I didn't get it by eating bad food. It wasn't just like this food's crap and you just keep eating it. No, there's too much good food up here. So anyways, we're moving on to another one. Now, this story came to me from a guy named Miguel. Now, here's the funny thing. I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Miguel. You wanted to be called Miguel. While I'm talking to him, his mother's like, we call you Michael. I wouldn't try to be ugly, Mike. Miguel, whatever. Miguel's like, I'm half Mexican like you. I said, okay, cool. I'm Josh. Ain't nobody calling me Josue. I had to crack on you. I told you I would. See, I give people a warning. I'm gonna bust on you because his mom is like, pendejo, nobody calls you that. but Scorpion used to tell girls, call me Angel. I'm like, your name is not Angel, dude. That's your middle name is Angel. Nobody calls you that. His own brother, he's like, Hector's at the club one time, and Hector's like, why are you calling yourself that? Scorpion's probably over there getting mad right now, throwing his phone. You get mad when I bust on you, bro. My name is Joshua Paul. Nobody's, like I said, they're not calling me Josue Pablo Turner. It just doesn't have a ring to it. Like if I have my stepdad's last name or my mother's maiden name, it'd be like Josue Pablo Medina or Josue Pablo Mondragon. That sounds like something epic. But when you say Josue Pablo Turner, because you can't say Turner with a Mexican accent. Turner, you want some tortillas, Turner? It doesn't have that same it doesn't. So I don't go around saying that. Hey, amigo, hey, you call me Josue Pablo, Mr. Turner, if you will. So yeah, when he was saying, see, look, Anthony, I knew he had. He knew he was going to comment. Here he goes. My middle name is Angelo, and I tell them to call me Angel. No, you were saying Angel. Don't even lie. Mentiroso. Don't even lie. You were trying to tell people to call you that. And then your brother, your Estos hermanos. No mentiras. Like he said, he goes, why are you saying that? You're not even, nobody calls you that. He tried to make fetch happen. That's all I'm saying. It did not catch on. It did not catch on. No. Of course, we were mean as hell too. We made sure of it. We were all like, yeah, we're not going to call you that. But they call you Scorpion. I mean, that's what they call you, man. That's a cool nickname, right? Could have been called Monkey Butt or something. I mean, it could have been worse. Culo de chango. But this story. So Miguel, he's from Round Rock, and he's a pretty good guy. He's the thing is, he was at his mother's and is visiting his. He's a good son. He was visiting his mother. He goes, takes care of his mother. He says, I call my mother every day, and I go and visit her every Sunday. I take her out to dinner. They had just gotten back from eating dinner, and his mother was there, and she sounded like a very sweet lady. He goes, yeah, he said she's okay. She had her moments. She goes, now with my kids, they think that she's this nice person. It's a different woman than raised me. So I know how that goes, but he had a weird encounter. Now here in Round Rock, there is literally a round rock, right?
Yeah.
And it's right there by Old Settlers Park. Or not Old Settlers Park. What is that spot right there?
Right there by 620.
Yeah, it's a low water crossing too. It flooded here, but that area right there, you can go out there, you can go fishing, and we drove through there the other night. We cut across because we had to go to this. There's only one like CVS or Walgreens, whatever it is, stays open 24 hours in this whole area, thanks to the scamdemic. So we drove over there, and then we were cutting back because we have a place we got to go do. Patrol hits, whatever. And it was like 2 a.m, and there were these 2 guys out there, and they were just fishing right there by that creek. Because the fish kind of get caught up in there, right? So it's a good place to fish. There's always people fishing in the middle of the night. So that's what he did. He goes, this only happened like back in 2021. It wasn't that long ago. He goes, I was out there and I was fishing with my son. He goes, and it was me and my son, and my girlfriend. And he goes, we went out there, and it was like 1 a.m. And, there's always somebody out there. He goes, there wasn't nobody out there. He's like, and I look across the water. He goes, and my son, who's just a little boy, and he goes, look, Dad, what is that? And he's like, I look over my son. He's like 10 years old, And he goes, I don't have the best eyesight. He goes, I'm supposed to wear glasses, and I'd left them in the truck, and the truck was parked up. There's a little place where you can park at the top of the hill. He goes, and I'm out there and I'm fishing. He goes, and the last time I'd gone, I dropped my glasses in the water, so I just didn't bring them. He's like, I'm squinting my eyes. I'm trying to make out what it is. He goes, and then my son, he goes, my wife, she's over there talking on the phone. I told her, go, his girlfriend, he told her, go back up to the truck or whatever. Don't be talking loud around the fish, whatever. They're not going to bite. He's like, and then we hear this sloshing noise, like somebody's walking in the water. And he goes, and I look and I see what I had thought was somebody floating, and then they got up. And he goes, and they began to walk up the embankment, going on that, like if you're by the Round Rock for you, Anthony, what I'm talking about, right? Mm-hmm. And you're right there, and the Round Rock is to your left. Yeah. They're fishing right there. That's what he said. On that embankment, it would be on the northeast bank. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's under that bridge. And the guy was crawling up out of there. Now, that area, that rock, a lot of people have speculated over the years that it was used as sacrificial something or another.
It's shaped like that.
It's shaped like an altar, yeah. So people have speculated that ancient people going way back, had used it as a sacrificial place. And that it's a very creepy spot at night. Even though people are out there, it's still kind of creepy. It's real dark, and good fishing or not, I'm not really into hanging around that rock. I've been out there near that rock and touched it, and it is a weird thing, So he sees this guy walking up out of the water, and he goes, my son is just like, he's grabbing his fishing pole and he's starting to walk away. And he's like, where you going? And he goes, his son's junior, right? He's a junior. Where you going? And he's like, man, I'm out of here, Dad. I don't know. That guy's weird. There's something not right about that guy. He comes up out of the water. He goes, he turns around. He's standing at the top of the embankment. He's looking down at me. My son's walking away. And he's, Dad, come on, let's go. He's like, I couldn't stop looking at this guy. He goes, and the guy, he goes, I couldn't make out really but I could see that there were like the eyes, where the eyes were, it was white, but they were glowing. Like it looked like it was glowing. And he's like, I'm sitting here staring at this, and I'm going like, what in the hell is that? So he turns around and he starts to walk back to the truck. They get to the truck, and he goes, my wife's still yakking away on the phone with her sister, you know, whatever. It's now his wife, but it was his girlfriend. And he said, thank you for the donation. We appreciate that. Everybody who's donated to help out. And he said that when he gets back to the truck, his wife, he's like, what are you talking about? Because the little boy's like talking away or whatever. And he goes, the little boy's mother had problems. She had a lot of problems. And so she lives up in Dallas, and it doesn't have anything to do with the son. You know, she gave up the kid, you know, when he was a baby. So he never really knew his mother. And he goes, the woman that I'm with, she's like a very good mom to him, treats him like a son. They have a little boy too. He goes, and both of my boys get along real well. So that she had a son, like, you know, right after they got together. She was pregnant that time with their kid. So he goes, as we're driving off, he goes, I drive by it, and he goes, and the guy is still sitting there. He's sitting down. He's like, and he's closer to the road now. And as we drive by, he's like, I have my glasses on, and I look. He goes, and what I saw will haunt me forever. He goes, I look, this man had no nose. Like his nose was gone. Part of his face, not the part that was closest to them, but when he turned his head and looked at them, he goes, the other side of his face, he's like, which would have been the left side, was just like, it was all gone right here. There was no eyes. This glowing white dots. And there was like his arms. You could see the bones of his arms. Yeah, it was, you know, it was creepy, dude. And so when he was telling me this, and I'm like, oh, dude, wait a minute. Yeah, of course, he asked me if I had heard of it. I was, yeah. Sean just stole my joke. Sean, I was going to say, yeah, Michael Jackson. That's Michael Jackson. You're just ignorant. Miguel, you're just being ignorant. You're ignorant. You've never seen a man with no nose. You're just ignorant. Come on, Miguel. So, yeah. So, you know, Miguel, that's the end of the story. Miguel, you're just a very ignorant and very, very prejudiced person against zombies. That's all it is.
You're ableist.
You're an ableist. JX is Michael Jackson, allegedly. Yeah, allegedly Michael Jackson. But yeah, I mean, so he saw this. He goes, dude, I saw this. It was the wildest, creepiest thing. He goes, I'm looking and I'm like, what is that? He said, dude, he goes, my girlfriend, she screamed so loud. He's like, if we'd had the windows up, the windows would have just blown out. Like, you know. And he said, when she screamed, the thing kind of tilted its head. Like, he says the thing at that point, he was talking about the thing. He's like, the thing tilted its head like it was trying to observe them. He goes, and the thing was wearing like this gray kind of like, the way he described it, and this is his exact words. I don't want to, you know, add to this because I don't, you know, he says like Gandalf, you know what I mean? Like a cloak, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. He goes, it was like Gandalf the Gray or something, dude. And the guy's hair was all like gray. And I don't know what that was. Maybe a sacrifice from ancient times. We were talking about the
But once again, that they saw one of these zombie-looking people by water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a second story.
Yeah, well, that's not even really by design. A lot of them do happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, not Willie's story though. Willie didn't see his by.
No, not his, but the first one, where she saw that guy who looked like he'd been drowned.
Yeah. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was really weird. Yeah. Rain says, I have a zombie story from Galveston. The police were called and report all the IHOP of all places on the Seawell Boulevard. Rain, why don't you jump on? You know, you don't got to show your face or whatever. You can just, but you can tell us the story. You know, it's there if you want to tell it. If anybody's got a zombie story they want to tell, there's people message me all the time. They go, I got a zombie story. I'm telling you, man, I'm going to tell you, Andy, I don't know if you noticed, like if you've looked, but I counted 16 stories that not where they say zombie in the heading, but it's in there, like on the stories. I went through and I found, you know, somebody saying something. A couple of them that I remembered that were from, there were two from the same person who claims that they have been stalked by a zombie. I don't have permission to say their name right now, but I mean, they gave me their name. I don't know. But she had, and she's from New Braunfels. I mean, Seguin, but she lives in New Braunfels. I told her, I was like, ain't that y'all's arch rival? What are you doing living there? You're supposed to hate them. I was like, Deuce. He's like, I hate New Braunfels. I was like, you played football 20 years ago against them. Come on, Deuce. Come on, man. You know, don't be hating. Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. Seguin, they're real jealous of New Braunfels. But if I lived in Seguin, I'd be jealous too. I'd be like, you got, you know, Slitterbond. You got cool stuff. We got nothing, man. Look what I got, man. What I got? Look, I'm Seguin, man. I got nothing, man. You got all the water. You know, whatever. But they got Deuce. Deuce is like a state treasurer at this point.
Yeah.
Deuce got his own. They're trying to make a show about that dude, man. Or, you know, Sixth Tree, but he's a big part of it. Shout out to him. But, you know, it's crazy, though. But she was in Seguin. And it's really weird because the first thing, I'll tell one of her encounters. She has a couple of them. But they're really long. And I probably should just wait, do a show about it, you know, do a podcast episode. Folks, you're going to want to hear the podcast episode coming up. So are we going to do it on Tuesday or are we going to start dropping them on Friday?
I mean, we can switch it to Friday.
Switch it to Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We probably should just do one Tuesday and one Friday next week.
Yeah, we can do that too.
Yeah, because there's a part one and a part two. We just do one, you know, Tuesday and then Friday. But the cool thing about these next two podcast episodes is that they're standalone too. And what it is it's Valentina or Val. It's her story. That is Francis or Francine, the one whose story we told last, I think Wednesday. It was Wednesday when she was in Italy and she had the weird goat man, the dogman creatures stalking her. But her sister had some stuff happen when she went back to Italy. So, you know, buckle up for that because that's where she's like, you got to hear my sister's stories. I think it had a lot to do with this woman that was a witch. That's my opinion. She's a strega, and I believe that she caused it, you know. But, you know, that's my opinion, you know, and I'm going to, you know, whatever. But the next 3 weeks, the next three stories coming out for the podcast, really good. I mean, you know, good material there. We've had some really good material, you know. And I just looked back at June and I thought that June it was a little not subpar. A lot of people said it was great. That June had a lot of good stuff going on, but I felt like I was preoccupied with work and with a lot of different stuff going on in my life. But I just decided to buckle down, and July is going to be a banger. You know, it's going to be just we're going to do some good stuff here, and I owe it to the people who give me the encounters to do them and do them correctly, or to have them come on and tell them. Like tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday. You know what that means. Tomorrow we have people come on and tell their encounters, tell their stories, and you know. So if you have a story to tell, check us out tomorrow and just, you know, tell your encounters, tell your stories. That's what we're here for. Tomorrow I will be on. Tuesday, like I said, I got the colonoscopy. I don't know if we're gonna. We'll drop that episode on Tuesday, or we could do it Thursday and Friday. We could do it like boom, boom, Thursday and then Friday. I don't know. We'll see. Because I was thinking about doing them one week and then another one another week. But I'm going to start doing more work. I've kicked around the idea about doing 2 a week now, this month at least. For the pod people who just refuse to come. But what's going to happen is you guys are going to get the full Monty, okay? Because you're going to get all of the stories and encounters, and then the stuff that's going to go to the podcast, you're going to know what's going on. Because the people that are going to listen from the podcast, they're only going to know Valentina's story. They're not going to know her sister Francine's story. They're not going to know what was before that, So if you're only listening on the podcast, you're going to miss out. So that is that situation there. And I tell people you really got to do both. But if you're on YouTube, you get it all because it all goes to YouTube. And it's a shame that we've had so many problems with people and that we're going to have to move it to a paywall. We're still committed to do that at some point. We don't know when, but I'm going to get through this month and try to get out as much as I can. And maybe August or maybe by the end of the summer, we're going to do that. I'm sorry about that, Chris. Chris says that his family are reprobates. Why are they reprobates? So, anyways, we got another story to tell. So that was Miguel's encounter, and he had another, like a whole thing going on. He had a haunted house that he lived in when he was young, and his mother and him both were talking. Well, she didn't start out talking, but she was telling me, like, and he's a listener to the show, but she was telling me, like, and there again, he's a pod person. No offense, but like, I told Miguel, I was like, I'm not. He goes, "Are you going to tell my?" I was like, "I'm going to tell it, but not on the podcast. It's going to be on the live stream." He goes, "Oh man, like, dude, you can't even tune in to listen to your episode being told. Come on, dude. YouTube is not that bad. Like people are like, I hate YouTube. I won't do it. I will not. And you're just like, geez, these people, they're super committed to that. So he said he's going to catch it on the replays working, but whatever, man. Sorry, I don't understand that. I'm not gonna get into it. But yeah, so the pod people, they're gonna be thrilled that we're gonna be doing like 2 a week. We're gonna try and see how many we can bang out this month. But so I have another one. And this one didn't take place. It was not a by the water or anything like that. But there was somebody that was telling me that they were having dreams, and it was a loved one that had passed away, their aunt who had died. And she is from Killeen. No, not Killeen. I just had it earlier. Waco. She's from Waco, Texas. And she lived right there in the middle of Waco, close to the Baylor University. She's like, my family had been living there for years. We've lived there for 3 or 4 generations now. Well, she would be like 4th generation, a Waco-nite, whatever. And she said that, back in the day, Waco was not always like it is now. You drive through there and you're like, brother, it was cool. It was a nice place at one time, and it just kind of got run down and the infrastructure kind of went, and the city really, I've noticed this over the years since I was young. They didn't really keep up with it. They didn't like take care of it. Like they just kind of let the infrastructure. And then they started having to do all this work. You go through Waco, going on 35, you go into Dallas Fort Worth area or whatever, because it's a halfway point. It's like literally halfway between here and Dallas, right? So going to Fort Worth to visit friends and stuff, and you slow down right there, Waco, because of all the traffic and everything. Well, that traffic really bad ended up, her aunt died years ago because it's like they've been working on the roads there forever and not doing anything.
Yeah. Just milking the clock.
So I don't know if it's the city council there that's got the problems in Waco or what. But I had somebody follow me one time in Waco when I was detouring because they had the detours. And I went into a parking lot because this person was definitely following me. They were looking for trouble. These guys, I don't know what these guys were up to, but they were messing around, and I showed them real quick that wasn't going to happen. And then they jumped a curb to get away from me. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. So this is weird. It's a weird place, you know. And I was with Nelly, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? What are these people doing? You know? And obviously the detour didn't go into a parking lot. I was going somewhere, you know, and they were detoured, I guess, with us, and they just decided to start following me around. I mean, do I look like a mark? Do I look like somebody you go, oh, let's go mess with that guy and let's see what he's got? You know, F around, find out. But yeah, so Waco, it could be a rough son of a bee. There's some, you know, but her aunt was, now they don't know for sure. Years ago, her aunt was in a car wreck and she passed away. And they don't know what really happened. They think that maybe she was ran off the road or maybe she was unalived. You know, somebody did this to her and she was trying to get away. But anyways, I'm not going to get into a big old thing. They don't know. It's listed as an accident. But she was a teenager when it happened, and she said that it really devastated their family. Her grandmother was never the same. This is her aunt, and she was the youngest. The aunt was the youngest child. And for years, they pushed for more of an investigation, but there's really nothing they can do. And so she says, so we live in Waco, and we had this, you know, whatever. It didn't happen on 35. It was in, you know, but they think that somebody chased her and she wrecked, you know. And then they try to say it was a single car, but there were witnesses that kind of claimed that no, there was. So her aunt appears to her right before the funeral, and she's sitting in a rocking chair, which she does not own. And she's like, I'm like 17 years old. She's like, and I see my aunt just sitting there. She's like, and I look at my aunt, I sit up and I see two green dots that look like, you know, where the eyes of a person should be.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, and I sit up and I'm like, Tia? Because she's Hispanic, right? And she says, see, you know, and she's like, and we're talking in Spanish, which isn't our first language. She goes, our first language is English. And we speak Spanish, and my abuelita and my abuelito, their grandma and grandpa, they speak Spanish. She's like, but we don't go around speaking Spanish. She didn't even have an accent when I talked to her. And she's like, you can tell that's not my first language. It's not mine either, right? I mean, I speak it, but it's not my first language. And she's just like, well, we start having this whole long conversation in Spanish. She goes, and then I notice that it was weird. This person that was talking to me, like I started to be able to see her face more clearly because the eyes were glowing to the point where it cast a green pallor over the entire, not her words, but she said a green, like she said like a coating, but I think she was referring to like a, you know, so those are my words, but she said that it was, you could see the face, and the face looked like it was like the flesh was coming. This is weird. The flesh was coming off of it and the reconstituting. And now, when she was telling me this, I started kind of racking my brain. I was like, I've heard something like this before. Well, my friend Shakespeare, years ago, we called him Shakespeare because he was real, you know, sophisticated. He was a sophisticated pugilist. And we called him Shakespeare, and he was telling me something similar to that. Like he had a loved one that died. It might have been an aunt. And it was something like that, you know? And I was like, and so I told her, I said, hang on. I said, a friend of mine's aunt, something similar to that happened. And she was talking to him. But his was not as like malevolent as what this became. So she says, I kept looking at her and I kept thinking, my aunt looks weird. And then I realized like I'm waking up and I'm in this in-between dream state. I'm not actually dreaming. I'm seeing it. And she's like, holy crap, wait a minute. I'm awake. And this is still here. It started out in a dream and then it was like right there. So, you know how you have that in-between dream state where everything just kind of goes and is gone?
Yeah.
She's like, no. She's like, I'm awake at this point and she's still there. We're talking. She's like, and I tell her, Tia, how did you die? And then she said, 2 men were chasing me. She's like, my boyfriend sent them. So then she just kind of gets up and walks toward the window and just kind of goes, and is gone. Like, it's gone. She gets really freaked out. So she goes and then, out in the hallway, and she's like, we live in a pretty big house, like 5 bedrooms. And she's like, I hear my grandmother in the bedroom crying, and I walked over to the bedroom and I was going to tell her, Walita, I just saw, but she's like, I didn't, I stopped. And she said, so I turned around and I just kind of I was like going to grab the door. She goes, my hand was right there by the doorknob. And I just said, and she goes, I just walked back. She said, I go and I lay back down. She goes, and I'm just laying there looking up at the ceiling, And she's like, and then a couple hours later, I fall asleep. And then next thing you know, everybody's up and they're making breakfast, She was a senior in high school, and she's like, and it was toward the end of it was like April, and there was like maybe almost toward the end of April. And it was, she says, I didn't know what to think. And this was that when she saw that, it was right before they buried her aunt, right? And she started having these dreams like on a regular basis, And she said that it would be the same way. I'd be like, I'm dreaming. And she says, we weren't really talking every time. It was just, but she remembers, I can't remember if she said it was April or May. So it was toward the end of the school year, let's put it that way. But she said that it started, and then all through the summer, she's like, that summer, she goes, and I ended up going. You heard that?
Yeah.
That's weird. She goes, I ended up going to Baylor. So I got to stay there. She goes, my grades were good. And she goes, and my grandmother was a mess. She's like, my mother, was a mess. And she goes, and I was so thankful that I decided to stay and go to Baylor because I could go to the university and stay at home and save money, And so she's like, she was thrilled that she was going to get to go to the hometown school. And she's like, I ended up thinking about my aunt like a lot. Like I was constantly, she was in my thoughts, and so I went out there to visit her grave. And this is what happened. She says, I kept seeing this image of my aunt with this flesh coming and going and the green eyes. She's like, I'm out there at the grave and I'm laying some flowers on the grave. And she's like, I look up and I see an image of a woman dressed in a white dress, the way she was buried, right? Oh, thank you for that donation. We appreciate it. For flood supplies. Oh, so many people don't realize when there's a tragedy like this, I'm not going to segue too far into it, but these people that when their things flood out, like they need supplies,
Yeah.
You can give money to whatever place, but I mean, somebody has to go and buy them supplies. So that's what Nellie's doing. That's what she wants to do.
Yeah, don't waste your time giving it to charities.
Yeah, because you're not going to.
They keep that money. I don't care what they say.
Yeah, and I'm going to help out my cousins too, even though they said they don't. I know how they are. They're going to say they don't need it, but I saw the devastation, and it's not. It's horrible. And please keep praying because miracles do happen. They do. And they've found a few of these people.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten out of the water and they're just stranded out there in the woods. And let's just pray that God protects these people, that they don't die from the elements, that they don't die because the one guy from the Camp Mystic, oh man, he rescued a bunch of people and then he died.
Yeah, he gave his life.
And then the football player from Trinity, he died rescuing people. So horrible, it's a horrible thing. So anyways, folks, yeah, just keep these people in your thoughts and your prayers, please. And so what ends up happening, this guy, he ends up, just totally like, I don't know how to say it without sounding really rude or whatever. she's there at the funeral. She's there at the funeral, and there's a guy that comes up, and he starts talking very just like blunt about her aunt's death. And it's really weird because they should have looked into this guy, and that's what she was saying, that this guy started talking like, "Oh, it's her own fault. You know, she was involved with a really bad guy. What did she think was going to happen? Blah blah blah." Well, it turns out that this dude was a guy that really liked her aunt. And he was very jealous of her choice to go out with this other guy. So he kind of pushed this narrative that he believed that that guy and another dude were responsible for running her off and her dying. So this is what the girl told me, right? And so I don't know, you know, but this guy came, like, he followed her to the gravesite. So she was there. She's putting flowers on. She turns around and he's getting out of his car and he's walking up. And she knows him, but she never felt really uncomfortable around him. He was a really good friend of the aunt's, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she was like, she's there at the gravesite by herself. This he's by himself, right? He shows up and she's like, I have nowhere to go. Like, if this guy decides he wants to do something, like, she goes, he just walks up. She's like, he just like yanks off his sunshades. He's just like right in my face. And he's like, you know, she was murdered. You know, we need to do something, blah, blah, blah. And he's just socially inept, right? There's ways to talk and bring subjects up. Now, you know, here on the show, I do and say things because this is,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to do this in my everyday life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go, hey, guess what? You know, people saw some zombies, you know, like, you're just like, well, you know what? Are you going to sign this contract or what? I just want you to know people saw that. Okay. They see werewolves on the reg. All right.
Thank you so much, Rita.
Thank you, Rita. And they're just like, yeah, okay. You know what? This is 7-Eleven. Are you going to buy that coffee or? Oh, yes. Let me buy that coffee. Where are you from? Nepal? How did you know? $1.10. Okay. Thank you. There's a time and a place, right? And I do bring it up sometimes about the show or whatever, but you can't just start blurting things out. And this guy, he just walked up, just like at the funeral. I did the same thing to her. The thing that she noticed about this dude, and one of the things, when she told me this, I just was like, okay. She said he had a chain on his neck. She said that it wasn't a pentagram. It didn't have the circle on there, but there was a chain. And she goes, and I noticed under his jacket when it moved, she's like, and he was wearing a jacket. And this is like, you know, May, you know, whatever it was, June, whatever. Real skinny guy. And she said that it was a 5-pointed star. Just a star. Not, you know. She's like, and then I looked down, and when he did like this with his hair, she noticed that his ring, like right where my Texas ring would be, was a pentagram with the circle with star, you know, and the way it was facing her was the upside down. She's like, and even as a young girl, like 18, I just turned 18 at that point. She's like, I knew what that was. And she goes, and I noticed his eyes. They were green, like just a very striking green. He's a Hispanic guy. And she said that I was mortified, terrified, standing next to this guy. She goes, I was shaking like a leaf. He was just barking in my face and telling me we got to go on this crusade to get this guy. She's like, the image went into my mind of him chasing her, not this other person.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, so then she goes, I go home. He leaves. You know, I walk him back to his car. She goes, I was super nice to him. He's like, he hugged me. And she goes, and I let him hug me way too long. Now, I've had people hug me and they'll be like, and they'll hug me over a while, you know? And you're just kind of like, oh, okay. As long as it's not a dude, doesn't get real uncomfortable. You're just like, oh, okay. Yeah, we've hugged. We're good. You know, if it's a girl, you're just kind of like, well, that's fine. Whatever. It's just a woman, you know? I mean, that's just me, you know? But she goes, it was really uncomfortable. And then he kind of slid his hand down and kind of went over the top of her buttocks, which she was just like, what the freaking heck, you know? So he's a real creep. He's a creepy dude, right? She goes, I go back to my SUV. She goes, I get out of there. I'm just like, and she goes, and I am crying, I'm shaking. She's like, and I am literally talking to my aunt. She's like, I think something is wrong here. She goes home. The next day, she had this dream. She couldn't remember it, but she tells her sister, her little sister, and her older brother. Her older brother was working in outside of Hillsboro. You know where Hillsboro is, right?
Mm-hmm.
He comes back to Waco, lives out there, works out there, whatever. He comes back and he tells her, hey, let's, he had a weird dream too. They all did, all three of them. What are the odds, right? And so he comes back, he tells her, hey, let's go to the gravesite again. So he tells her little sister, she's like, I just was talking to, the younger sister about it. So they all go out to the grave. Her younger sister's like a sophomore in high school. She's young. They go back out there. She's like, with my older brother, I felt safe. He was tough. He's a tough guy. He was a wrestler, And she goes, we go back out to the grave. And she's like, she's like, what I realized was that I believed that I was going to get a message or something from my aunt. She goes, and I had this feeling like that something was going to happen, but that this guy came and he interrupted it, right? She's like, so we're at the grave. She goes, and we're praying. And we said all this prayer. She goes, and I had this vision, a waking vision. She's like, I've had 3 of them in my life. And she's older now, a lot older. But she said, I've had 3 of them in my life. This was the first one that I ever had. She's like, and my aunt appeared, and she's in this white gown. And it was like when I had been at the grave before, and I saw what I thought was a woman dressed in white, like my aunt, but it was just for a split second, and then that doofus showed up, right? She's like, and I'm looking at this woman, and she's telling me, she's like almost like an angel. She's not an angel, but she looks angelic, and she tells her, she's like, don't believe it. And she's like, don't believe what? And then she gets this image in her mind of her aunt sitting there in that rocking chair. When she sees that image of the aunt in the rocking chair, she looks into the window and she sees that creepy guy standing there just below the window, like looking in at her. And he's talking. He's moving his mouth. What he's saying is coming out of that image of her aunt in the rocking chair.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah. Freaky, dude. I told you it was a freaky story. So, yeah. So that is what she saw. She goes, I had this image. She goes, and as soon as we were done praying, she goes, I stand up and I'm like, I tell my brother, I'm like, I know what happened. She's like, I know what happened. She goes, but she could never convince the authorities that he did it. Years later, like years go by, and he's living up in Dallas, and she sees that he was the suspect in a murder. And I'm not going to get into it because I want people putting 2 together, and they go, this guy's still alive. I don't want him saying suing me or coming after me, nothing like that. But that dude, she goes, when she saw that, it was in the newspaper, right? She was up there, get this, she was working up in Dallas years later, like 20 years later, right? And this happened a long time ago. This woman's older than me. So this happened years ago. But she says, I was working up in Dallas. She's like, and she goes, I'm not even a newspaper person, She's like, and I'm walking by a newspaper, and I was drinking some coffee. She goes, and I look at my watch, and she's like, I had like an hour to kill, And she's like, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, she goes, I just thought, I'm going to go sit back at the hotel and wait, because she was traveling. She would go to Dallas and work for her job. She got her degree, Didn't finish it at Baylor, but hey, she got her degree. But because I just had this, I had some change left over from the coffee, because it was exactly the amount, So I put it in there, the old newspaper thing where, and you're supposed to only pull one. Yeah. You're only supposed to take one. I always took 2. But that was me. I only did that because I would take one to my mom. And I'd leave the quarter on the top of the thing. And then I figured out that other people were using it to get the paper. I only did it a couple times, man. I just take another newspaper. I'll be like, well, nobody's looking. It's just a newspaper, right? And then when you get robbed at gunpoint, you're like, uh-oh, this is payback. Why did I take that extra paper? I'm like, you know what? Here, take I shouldn't have taken
that magazine from the doctor's office.
I shouldn't
Damn it.
steal that magazine, that Esquire magazine. Here, take it. That's what I get.
Damn it, Texas Monthly.
Like these people from California. That's what you get for voting for Trump. That's why all these people died. That's what you get. They're like happy this happened to us. They're over there celebrating. So she goes, I get the newspaper out of there. She goes, and I go back to the hotel lobby, and she goes, I'm just reading, and I see, she's like, Wolf. She called me Wolf. She's like, Wolf. I see his face, and I'm like, this man is a suspect. Whatever. She's like, they think he did something, but they couldn't prove it. And she was just like, he is evil, evil. She's like, now, one time when I was in college, she goes, I had gone to this one place. She goes, there's this little place right there by the campus. She's like, and I like their chicken salad, right? So I would go there and I would get a sandwich, right? She's like, he walked in and he's with this young lady. She's like, and this is like a couple years after this happened, right? And he sees her. So he goes walking over there to her and he's like, hey, what's up? You know? And she's just like, oh, hey. And he goes, she goes, I look at this girl that he's with. She goes, and I look a lot like my aunt. She goes, that's what's really creepy. She goes, I look a lot like my aunt who passed away. And this woman looked like if me and my aunt had a baby.
Hmm.
And she goes, and I was convinced that I was being stalked, but I couldn't prove it, you know, to this guy. And she's like looking at this guy and looking at the girl. And she's like, hey, what's up? And then he's like, oh, that's crazy. You like to come here or whatever. And she's like, sometimes. She's like, I don't want to tell him that this is like a place I like to go to because, you know, she's creeped out by this dude. And he goes, well, okay. And then he goes, they go and they sit right, you know, by her. He starts conversating with this girl, right? And she can hear him conversating. And he's over there talking about, oh, yeah. I used to date her aunt, you know, and unfortunately her ex-boyfriend murdered her, but we couldn't prove it, you know. And he goes, but I'll never rest until the truth comes out. Like he's crusading for the truth. And she's over there going like, you did it.
Slime ball.
You bastard. And the girl was like, oh, that's so noble of you, you know, like whatever, thinking, you know, buying into his bullshit. And she goes, I couldn't stand it. She goes, I got sick to my stomach. She goes, I had to get up, throw the sandwich out and go outside and puke and then go to my car. And she's like, I couldn't stand to see this man's face. She's like, he had this really ugly, just gross looking face. It's like his body was kind of like misshapen the way he looked, you know? And he was one of those people who kind of embedded himself into her aunt's life, who was always like the friend that was always there waiting in the wings. And, you know, she's like, my aunt was beautiful. She was never going to go out with this dude. It was like, it's not going to happen, dude, you know? And when he would come around, she's like, my grandmother would always chastise her. Like, why do you have that weird, creepy guy around? You know, why is he around? And she called him a mentiroso, which means liar in Spanish, because he would make up these incredible tales of chivalry, you know, whatever. And her boyfriend at the time, he went to jail. So they hadn't talked to him in quite a while, right? So he was from El Paso originally. So at the time of her death, he was actually incarcerated in El Paso. And he had gotten picked up for nothing really serious. It was traffic tickets, and he had gone back to El Paso, and El Paso don't have any money, so they got to find a way. You get pulled over in El Paso just by looking over at somebody, and they'll be like, what are you looking at? You know, they got to generate income. There's nothing there. If you've been to El Paso, there's nothing there but crazy women. Believe me, I know. And so, you know, he got put in jail. So when he gets out, he's like, you know, he finds out that she had passed away. Now, this was years. This is like when I was not even thought of, you know. So there's this guy, you know, that they who was trying to say did this. Then he tried to create a narrative that it was his gangster friends. He had some, you know, he was in a gang or something, and the guy wasn't. He was just a normal guy. But yeah, I don't believe it. And from what she was telling me, that guy had anything to do with it, or that his friends supposedly had anything to do with it. And for what she said, she don't think anybody had anything to do with it but him. And that witnesses had said that the car that he was not his vehicle, though, it was a car that his grandfather owned. And that's what she believed, because that car was, you know, so he planned it and think he chased her, you know. And, back then there wasn't no cell phone. You'd have to stop at a payphone or something. There was no
Mhm.
cell phones. So poor girl, it ended up classified as just a one person accident, whatever. And, this is so long ago, but, kind of zombie like, right? So here's what happened. After the dream and the vision, she had another one of those visits from the zombie aunt, right? And she kept remembering the words in her head, don't believe it. Don't believe it. And this aunt, whatever, that it was weird because it was like, it would be like all flesh, and then it would be like like decayed flesh, and then a skeleton, and then it would go back to being. It was weird, right?
That is
It just
bizarre.
kept going back and forth. She's like, and finally she goes, I sat up. She goes, and I had holy water, and I threw it at the image of this, and I stood up. He goes, and I was shaking like a leaf. She goes, but I had my Bible, and I said, I rebuke you in the name of Christ, And she's like, I'm throwing holy water, and this just disappears. She's like, and I wasn't bothered by this guy again until I saw him at the deli that time. And she said that this dude, she got so sick being around him. There was like this evil, like just emanating from
Mhm.
him. She knew. Like the day at the cemetery, she's like, I thought he was going to kill me. She goes, I had this image of him putting his hands around my neck and choking me. And I could hear this voice that sounded like my grandmother. She's like, years later, I realized my great grandmother was buried right around the corner from there, in the same cemetery. And she's like, when I told my grandmother about it, she said my grandmother said that voice was probably my mother, which would have been her great grandmother, and told her, she's like, you need to get out of here now. And the dude was evil. He was really evil. And around that time, I remember that there was a lot of Satanism going on in Temple and in Killeen and in Waco, all that area. There was all this satanic panic,
Mhm.
going on, whatever. And this would have been even before before I was around. It would have been a long time ago. But I would have been probably a baby, I guess, or a little kid, whatever. But it was just when she was telling me this, I'm thinking, man, oh man. And how many times do you think this has happened with people? And they do something nefarious and they get away with it, and you don't really know.
Mhm. Well, most of these things that are actually reported are never even solved.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows how much of this actually happens? It's just never comes to light.
And they can't prove anything.
Mm-mm.
It's much easier just to say one car, accident, whatever. Yeah. There was a situation. You remember John Kelly, right?
Mhm.
A friend of ours, she died. We've driven through there. There's a road back up in there in South Austin where there's a big tree right in the middle of the road. And the city had debated about taking it down because a woman had ran headlong into that vehicle. Well, they said she had been drinking, but I remember John saying that he thought somebody had chased her, like had, and he thought it was one of her ex-boyfriends, because the guy that she was living with at the time, he was out of town. It wasn't him. But I remember him and John just saying that and the guy was real sketch about it. Like when they questioned him, and he was, friends with a guy that worked at our Ashes bar. And he went in there one day, and I remember him talking about his theory about it. He kept trying to say it was her current boyfriend at the time. But I remember him saying that, and he was friends with this other little douchebag. You know what I'm talking. She runs a bar in Round Rock. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend at the time, he's a tattooed freak,
Yeah.
freakazoid. But he was friends with that guy, and he has all these like metal teeth, and he's like, he's one of those people that wants to be black, and black people are
Yeah.
like, dude, we're not taking any more, okay?
Yeah. Like wants to be what he thinks is a
Yeah,
representation
what he thinks
of
is a
black
representation
culture.
of being black, and he, yo, no,
Yeah.
yeah. He was friends with that guy, and I just remember being repelled by both of them. But I didn't know that other guy, and I kept thinking, I get something evil from the guy. Like I felt it, And I remember Kelly always saying that he thought that dude had something to do with that, I didn't know her that well. I mean, I didn't really know her that well. I met her a couple of times, but he was good friends with her, And when that happened, he and several other people were always saying that guy had something to do with it. When I meet that dude, he's just like, I get this, like he was on the right side of me, and that other idiot, the tattooed wackadoodle, was next to him drinking with him. So that automatically discredits that guy. I don't even like that guy at all. He's a wiglet, just put it that way. And I felt like this, like hair on my, and he comes over there and put not the murderer. I'm gonna say he's a murderer. I don't know. I shouldn't say he's a murderer. I don't know if he's a murderer. I don't know. The rumor is that let's put it that way, right? Let's not call people murderers on the show here. Okay, let's say allegedly he may have had something to do with it, right? Very similar situation though, right? And then, but this other guy, he comes over and goes, "Yo, man, what you drinking, dog?" And he's always like lifting up his upper lip so you can see all of his weird teeth.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, nothing, dude. I want nothing. I'm like Fear and Loathing. He's like, "You sure, Wolf? Come on, big dog." And I'm just like, and Fraser, he's from Jamaica. He's not even like African American. He's like he's Jamaican. And me and Fraser look at each other, and Fraser's like, doesn't like the guy. And then the guy goes slinking back to his weird friend with the beady eyes. He has like the dots for eyes and the glasses, and just
can never trust that.
They do this.
Like Canadians on South Park.
What do you want to talk about? Hey, buddy. I'm not your buddy. Hey, guy. I'm not your guy. I'm not your buddy. I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy, buddy. That guy. He looks like that. He looked like that guy. I mean, he did. And then a couple years later, he ends up getting in trouble for doing something else because, they always do something else that gets them hemmed up because they're that kind of people. You just kind of feel that. Anyways, the other dipshit that had the tattoos all over his face, like his face looked like this. This is this part of his face right here. The rest is all black because he's just tattooed the shit out of it. He's just a weird guy. I don't like him at all. Like I can't stand that guy. So anyway, he puts his arm on me, and I said, "Don't touch me, dude. Don't get your arm off me, whatever." And he's always talking about me like we're buddies. Oh, ask Wolf about me. Like I tell people he's a piece of shit, and they're like, "Your friend." I'm like, "He's not my friend." I hate that when they're like, "Oh, your friend," and he's not my friend. He's not my friend. He's just a guy who uses my name and says shit like we're buddies. I ain't his buddy. I ain't your buddy guy. But he goes over, and I remember like Fraser being behind the bar, and then and Fraser's big, tall Jamaican dude, man. He used to work for me. I hired him years ago at the club, and then he just worked for me, and then he worked for R-Ash, a great guy. And he just looks at the guy, and he's just like, "Don't touch people, man. Why are you always grabbing on people? What's your deal, man?" And he's like, "Oh, Fraser's so good," and Fraser just leaves him hanging, like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And then he goes, "Don't worry about Wolf." He goes, "I got Wolf. You don't need to give him drinks or whatever." I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about me, dude. Go be with your friend. Go be with this suspect over there." It's like, whatever. But you get a feeling around that guy. So when I was talking to her, I didn't tell her all that, but I remember that feeling I got on the right side of my body because that's where they were at. And I couldn't be around that beady-eyed little fucker because sorry, excuse my language, but I just thought maybe this dude, he probably did do something. And then later on, I thought he did do something. I'm not even going to get into it because I don't want to get, in trouble for saying something about the guy. But he got accused of something similar. He got away because they didn't have enough evidence. But, when I read about it or I heard the story, I didn't read about it. I heard it from somebody. I was just like, okay, that makes sense because, if somebody does something like that, they'll do it again. And you got to remember, too, when somebody commits a crime, I'm pretty sure they've probably done it before.
Yeah.
Not always. Maybe it's their first time, maybe. But you got to remember, they probably have done some shit before and they got away with it. Who knows how many times a criminal gets away with something, and then they get caught. Well, they got caught that time. How many other times did they do something? And, And I can promise you a serial killer, like how many times a serial killer kills somebody, they're like, well, he's credited with 15 people. That means he's probably killed 30. Right? I mean, just be honest. And I don't give a shit what anybody tells you. I don't. 38 people. I said 16 because they said 16 that were very similar, right? The body count now at Lady Bird Lake since 2021. Look this up. Look it up. Make sure I'm telling the truth. Since 2021, I read this, over 36 people, all men, right? I think it's 38 victims. Now, let's not call them victims because APD and all their glory is like, well, it's all unrelated. They just all got drunk. They wandered down to the lake, fell in and drowned. Yeah, bullshit. Austin is the biggest lying sack of shit. You are such liars. You are liars.
At least 38 bodies have been found in or around Lady Bird Lake since 2022.
2022. Okay, so I was wrong. 2022, 38 people? Almost all men. I think there might have been like 1 or 2 women. The rest are all men. How you going to tell me that they were all accidental drown? Okay, then there is a demonic spirit in Lady Bird Lake. You heard it right here, and it's killing people in that lake. I don't give a shit what they say. How are 38 people gonna die? Does that even make any sense to y'all? And then every single one of them, they have an excuse. I've watched some of the video of this. And it's weird. Some of these people are like, they couldn't even swim. Why would they go wander down to the lake and fall in?
Whoever's doing it probably knows someone high up. They're being protected.
Austin is so they love the tourism.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to come here. They want you to spend money. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not safe. Don't do it. Don't do it, man. If you come to Austin, avoid downtown like the plague. I hate that so many young people go down there and drink and do that because you don't know. These people that run this city, they are godless. They are moralists. They have no values. None. If they will do and think and say the way do you think they give a shit about you? They don't. I'm telling you right now, folks, stay the hell away from downtown. Stay as far away from the east as from the west. They are moralist, godless people, and they run this city. I promise you, these people do not care about you. They do not care about it. They want your money. That's it. They don't want anything else. They don't give a shit about you, man. This show, we are doing everything we can to keep going and doing what we got to do. We got to work all the time. Thank God tonight we have Maddie who's going to be doing the patrol for us, so I can stay a little longer and do the show. Yeah, there you go. JX hit it on, but they get on TV and pretend well. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. They welcome anytime they're rioting. They did it here too when they had the whole for the immigrants, because they want them to be able to stay here so they can kill and destroy and do whatever they got to do. They were out there pushing the bullshit. I'm telling you, it's absolute. And I'll take it a step further, man. I mean, like they don't like white people. They're racist. Racist against white people. But the truth be told, I don't think they like people, period. They like certain people that they can manipulate and control. And I'll say this, you know why they don't like white people? Because white people, they are very, they think about stuff. White people are unpredictable. They have their own minds and they just don't want to, they have worked really hard on this immigration, getting them over here because they feel like they're less intelligent. Because they're not as educated as we are. So they feel like they can trick them and fool them. And that's why they want them here. And if they hand them enough stuff, they'll vote the way they want them to vote. I'm not trying to get political, but I'm being honest. I'm being serious. That's what that is. And if you start to look now at black people, in particular black males, when I talk to black males, most of the time they think like I do.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, man, something's going on. They're not buying into the bullshit anymore. Okay. I can't say the same about black females. There's still a lot of black females that still think like this case with the kid that stabbed that dude in the heart.
Oh, yeah.
Carmelo Anthony. All right. Here comes the deep water. They are overwhelmingly the black females that were supporting him. And look at all that money they gave their family. What his parents did, they did him no favors. They did not do him any favors by taking all that money and running around and blowing it. They bought him a Lexus. They went and bought a house. They did all this. That was supposed to be money that was earmarked for him to get a good lawyer. Instead, they went and they blew it all. And then they started crying about white supremacy and all this other shit. Nah, dude, your son went somewhere, my absolute opinion, he went somewhere where he shouldn't have been. He murdered another teenager. It doesn't matter whether he's white, black, or whatever. He did something illegal. If the judge is worth his salt, that kid will go to jail for the rest of his life. He took a weapon up there to a school event, and he premeditated murdered that guy. That is my opinion. In my opinion. Okay, and I don't want to get in trouble for saying stuff about people. But that's the truth. And I knew it from the beginning. I was just like, look, man, you know, it's not right. You know, people would knee-jerk reacting and saying, oh, he knew. I knew immediately what had happened. I'm not stupid, man. And I'm not a racist. I'm not bigoted at all. I'm just telling you what I saw. I'm telling you the absolute truth. And there have been, you know, different people who've spoken out and said, white and black, who've said, man, and overwhelmingly black females are all like, they're just trying to do this, blah, 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 blah. It's mostly black females. And now I have a lot of black females that are really good friends of mine. That's not who I'm talking about. But these ones on TikTok and on Twitter, whatever the hell it's called, all these different, you know, whatever. What the heck is JX doing over here? What is all this? Toilet? What is it? What is that? A chair? Eyes? But, you know, I'm sitting here telling you the absolute truth of what I know to be true. And I believe that that guy's in a world of trouble because he's going to go to prison. And not only did your family start shit with Aryan Brotherhood and everybody else, you got black people that are in jail right now that their family didn't send them money for their commissary and their free world shit. They call it free world stuff, right? And now you got that money and you're running around driving a Lexus. Wait till you go to jail, young man. I feel really bad for you. Actually, I don't, because you're a murderer. But you did something you shouldn't have done. And your family milked a bunch of people, the black community, for a bunch of money. And now they're up in arms because y'all were living high on the hog, living large. When you go to prison, the blacks are going to get you. Or they're going to pull protection and not going to help you, and the whites are going to get you. You're going to get it, dude. I'm telling you. I hate to say it, man, but that guy, the worst thing you did was pull a knife out and stab that young man in the heart. That's the worst thing you could have done. Here at PRT, I get things from all angles, and I'm blessed. I really am. Because I get the stories from the spiritual side, which gives you the full picture. You get the aftermath. True crime that happens, and then you get that spiritual side of it. You know, Herb Baumeister, the serial killer, they made a show about him with, what's that guy? Bill Curtis, you know. And it was just about the murders there at Fox Hollow Farms. And then we had Anna Choate come on. And Anna talked about the case from the spiritual side of it, the EVPs. Mm-hmm. Go back and listen to the episodes. Those episodes, man, I hear on my legs just standing right now. Those EVPs, man, of the victims and what could possibly be Baumeister himself. Because when someone dies, things aren't resolved. I know a lot of people just like to believe you go up or down like it's an escalator. Now, there's people that stick around when things aren't resolved. And the Levant, the Arabs and the Jews, they believe that you can stick around for 40 days. Think about that. Culture is way older than ours, the Abrahamic faith, right? And they believe that. But if you believe, you talk to certain Christianity, sect of Christianity will tell you, no, that's not correct. You're just up or down, you know, hold on. And what are these up or downs? Is it really hell? Because remember, hell is going to be cast into the lake of fire. What is the lake of fire different than hell? What is the abyss as opposed to the hell? There's all these different factors, all these different things. You don't know what's going to happen when you die. That's why you got to be ready. And I'm going to say it, and I'm like a broken record, but Christ is the only way, folks. I don't care what you believe, but Christ is the only way you're going to get to God. You may go here, you may go there, you may go anywhere, but I'm telling you. And you don't want that, because just like these people that were swept away, I read about these two girls that were on their porch when this hit in Hunt, Texas. Swept away right there on their porch, front porch. You got these stories of people seeing zombies, having weird encounters, all kinds of stuff. We don't know what this is. You know, we don't. But you get people who can see things, you know, see beyond the veil. And I think this one woman, I need to tell her stories. She had zombie encounters. Like I said, she's from Seguin. But she had a Bigfoot. She saw a Bigfoot type creature when she was young. But she had this zombie encounter, like a couple of them, you know. And then when she got older, she saw a Dogman. But I think it's like this. And whenever there's a story we already did the recording, but it's going to come out Tennessee. And I already named it. I call it the Bigfoot Dilemma of Tennessee. In Tennessee, the Bigfoot Dilemma in Tennessee. And I don't know what we're going to officially name it, but that's what I call it, you know, because this woman had a dilemma, and it very, yeah. Her name was, I call her Kay, but Kay had some serious stuff happen in her life, a lot. And, you know, I think once something happens to somebody, whether they deal with UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Dogman, Bigfoot, whatever, I think that they begin to be able to see through the veil into the other side, and it affects them. I do. I think it affects people. And people will argue all day long about, because they have this preconceived belief. The best way to do it, I've told people this before in private, like on the phone and stuff like that. If you were to look at PRT from like a blank slate, if you came in with no preconceived notion of anything, because their preconceived notion will battle against the truth of what we know to be, what data we have. So they'll be like, well, I don't believe that because I believe this. Well, you believe that because of what? Because you've been taught when you were a child to believe that. And then you get all this other information, it changes it. But the problem is a lot of people aren't willing to change with the information. And some of it is contradictory. I have to admit that. And some of it is very hard to take. It's like, whoa. Like, what was the guy doing? The Waco story. Mm-hmm. Like, what was he doing that he was, if what she saw was correct, what was he doing? Now you look back at this other story, which I thought was quite interesting, and I chose her story to go along with tonight. There were 2 or 3 others that were pretty good, I got to say, but I chose this one because it kind of the guy Willie's story, where he meets Frankenstein's cyborg or whatever it was, whatever it was that he saw. And Willie's a big guy. He's like 6'4". He's like 280. He's a big dude. He goes, this thing was bigger than him. It's like 6'6", 6'7", like a monster, Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, they grabbed the money and crumpled it up and was like, Kind of reminds me of like we were talking about Men in Black the other day. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, buy these sunglasses. Why would you run there and buy something that was on this nasty head, of a rotting head? I don't want that. Do better with your cyborg, okay? It's from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What's it called? Adam?
Oh, yeah.
Adam, do better, But, you go back and you listen to this and you're thinking, was there somebody there puppeteering this guy? Now, think about what I saw when I was 17, right? I was 17 years old. I saw something. That's with my friend Tony Duran. He was here. He used to box with me. Jason Carr, my friend Oscar. Oscar Howell is his name. He's Hispanic, but his last name is Howell. His dad was half white. But we saw something that looked like a man. And you've heard all of them tell you the story. My brother has heard all of them tell the story. Jason used to work with us. And he's met all of them, and you have too. And they've all told you what happened.
Mm-hmm.
The story didn't change from all four of us.
No.
Black dogs walking around with this man. The man was like a puppet, like a meat puppet.
Like a marionette, the way he was moving.
Mm-hmm. Knowing what we know about the others and the attachments. What do you think a ghoul is? A ghoul?
Could be.
Don't know. Rain, I fully expect tomorrow for you to check in on the Monday show and tell us your zombie story. Are you going to tell us your tale of woe? Now, if you do not, we are not friends. No more. I fully expect your report tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock. Well, let's say 8:30. 8:30. Or we're not friends. We're not friends no more. Not that we're friends now, but I don't know if we're friends now or not. You watch the show. We know that about you. But you don't have to show your face. You can hide. She comes on. She's like, Sonny Barger was showing up here. Anyways, pale crawler equals ghoul. Why do you say that, PJ? What do you think? Tell us why you think that. Because what if a ghoul is something that is controlled and manipulated? That's interesting, Nova. Nova says a ghoul is a corrupted clone. DNA within has been malfunctioning. What if there are different types of these things, or different types of ghouls, different types of clones? It's all relative depending on what we're talking about, right?
So ghoul can just be an umbrella term, like a general term.
Yeah. Anybody got any questions before we bounce? Yeah, I don't really remember it that well. Refresh my memory. It says, Wolf, have you ever seen the movie Stargate with Kirk Douglas? Is there gravy in that movie? I don't remember it that well.
I never saw that movie.
I should watch it considering we talk about Stargates, but I don't, if somebody tells me, hey, there's like some kind of, self-disclosure, whatever, I'll go watch something, but I don't watch a lot of movies, man. Chitillion says, what is a second death? What do you think it is? Look up that passage. Fear he who can give the second death. So I don't want to quote the Bible and have that because I don't know the exact verse. Mateo asks if I've ever seen a reptilian. Have I seen the eyes slitted up reptilian? I don't think so, but I have dealt with what I believe was a reptilian because when I was fighting with this person, we got him to get out of the club. I felt a ridge on his back that felt like plates.
It's Matthew 10:28.
Matthew 10:28. There you go. So Jesus tells us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fear he who can give the second death, which is God. The second death is when your soul ceases to have a conscience. That's what I believe it is. So JX says it right there. Lauren says, means you won't exist anymore. Exactly. The death of the soul, Randy. Randy just said it too. Sailor, you got to come on and tell. We need to record together, Sailor. You have a lot of information. Give me a day, a time when we can set up to record, because the pod people are fickle. They're a fickle lot, and they'll love somebody coming on and telling their encounters for a little bit, and then they'll be like, "Well, I want you to start retelling people's encounters. The way you tell it is better." Well, yeah, because I put the into it, but then I'll do that for a while. Then they're like, we want people to tell their encounters. And then, okay, so we're back to that. If they would literally stop living in their cocoon and come to YouTube, they would know we do both. But they, it's whatever. So we were going to do this Friday and I couldn't do it. I just can't do it. Too much going on. But I know this coming Saturday I'm going to have Barb Hartman on Saturday. Or was that? I can't remember. I think she's coming on next Friday. So it's either next Friday or next Saturday. I got to look. We'll have Barb Hartman on, so we'll have that. So what we're probably going to do is this Tuesday, we'll have the podcast first episode. We'll do the second episode like on Thursday. I'm going to try and get these, podcast episodes banged out so that we can, we can have them, because the pod people, they are what they are. God bless them. They just don't like YouTube. My brother. Okay, guys. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who donated. We're going to do as much as we can to help the people affected by the floods. And, like I said, we don't have a lot of money right now. I mean, we're giving some of our own money to get them supplies and get them to it. But the thing is, that money won't hit. This is how it works. Like, you gave us that. That's not going to hit until the money we're getting right now won't hit till what, August?
Yeah.
It's crazy how far out it is. So we'll be getting that money like third week of August. So what we're going to do is probably dip into our savings and try to help these people. If you want to help donate the money that will go immediately right now, you can put the PayPal up there. You don't have to do it tonight. You can whatever, because over the coming weeks, we're probably going to be helping a lot, the best we can. So I've committed that, Another thing that we got going on, we're in the process of trying to close and sell this land out in Lago, which after the flooding, I'm kind of glad we are getting rid of it, But yes. Oh, yes, Rain. Absolutely. Abe is going on tonight. Love that guy. Abe's Spiritual Cryptid Encounters. I gave him a shout out on L.A. Marzulli's show that's going to be coming out. Pray for Jesse. Wonderful dude, man. I love that guy. And he had a stroke, and he's bad. Please pray for him. Lift him up. Miracles do happen. People can get well. People can be healed. I got to go on Tuesday, and after that, they're going to tell me if I have something wrong, But even if they come back and tell me the worst, I'm going to be like positive about it, because I know that God is powerful. God is very powerful. Whatever his will is, will be. Right? So I know you guys, very powerful people that pray, that the paratroopers are some of the most powerful spiritual people in the community. I fully believe that. You're very awake. And I know that we'll pray. And even if I don't make it, don't cry. Don't fear. You've learned a lot, right? And it's not a foregone conclusion one way or the other that I'm going to be, healthy or unhealthy. It doesn't matter. God's going to do what God needs to do and what he wants to do. And he's going to take care of whatever he needs to take care of. And I feel the prayers and everything for me, for Jesse, for everybody. They can help. They can only help. If it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And I'm actually quoting him at one point. I remember Jesse saying that. He goes, hey, man, if it's your time to go, it's your time to go. The guy used to be a hellraiser. He did all kinds of stuff. And now he was living his life. He was going to church. Mm-hmm. He cussed. I cuss, yeah. But man, there were people just constantly attacking us, constantly attacking him, attacking Abe, attacking us, attacking all of our friends, Blondes and Booze, Helbin Hall. They hate all of us, Harley Owens, BMR. They have a big old list of people they hate. I'm at the very top of it. I think that's due to my lush, beautiful beard and my beautiful fat head. And my hair. They can't stand my hair. They're always trying to say I have hair plugs. I'm like, I don't have hair plugs, okay? My hair is mine. And you hate it. Yeah, you're right. So tomorrow, yes, you are very correct. Tomorrow I'm about to lose some weight because I got to take that, the Miralax, whatever. Dix, you didn't know that? Jeez. Now, folks, I tried everything I could to get Dick some money. Let's pray for Dick to figure out how to use PayPal. Okay. How about that?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to give you some money so you can
Yeah,
get
because
some
Canada
food.
doesn't have Cash App or Venmo, so
Venmo,
we can't
Cash App,
send
he
it that
can't do
way.
anything.
And he can't get into his PayPal. So we're trying to figure out how we can send him some help. And I don't think he has Zelle either. I don't know if Canada has that. I don't think they do.
No, he said he can't, So Dick is hurting. He's a poor guy. He doesn't have food, and I'm trying to help him. So I offered to sponsor him to come to the United States and work for us. It's up to him. He wants to do that. We'll do that. We'll try to help you. Tony, leaving Canada would help. It's kind of like Anthony when you were talking about being a therapist and you come out with a seminar and you're like motivational speaker. You got the microphone. You're like, look, folks, don't panic.
Yeah.
Stop having anxiety.
Just calm down.
Just calm down. Mic drop.
Just
Everybody's like, oh,
just get control of yourself.
wow. I had not thought of that. This man
Just like
is
the
a
most
genius.
common sense, blunt therapist ever, and then charge the crap out of people.
Exactly.
If you don't control your emotions shall control you. That will be $500.
If you were a therapist, what other sage advice would you give? Like what else? What else could we? Like if I had money problems, what would
get
you
a grip? Just make more money.
Jeez, dude, that is profound.
It is.
You are. I never knew this about you. You could write a book and be a bazillionaire.
Just make more. Just make more money.
Make more money,
and then come and bring it to me.
Yeah, can pay you for the services. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I'll do that. I'm going to do that.
Just go buy some more.
Well, there you go. I never thought of any of this stuff. What other advice could you give me? Well, you can give me off camera, but I'm going to pick your brain because you got some amazing ideas, my friend. I'm telling you. You're the most amazing man in the world.
Everything that you could possibly want is free if you're brave enough.
Yeah.
You can just, I
could have stole this hat. I didn't even need to pay for this.
The government doesn't want you to know this life hack
secrets,
but you can just take it.
Holy crap. Wow. He is the most interesting man in the world. He once said, if you have crap to do, don't take a long crap. Oh, man, that's crazy. He once stared at goats until they asked him what was up. He's the most interesting man in the world. He once said, if you're having a panic attack, don't panic. That'll be $500. There you go, man. I'm gonna pick your brain, my friend. Stay thirsty, my friends. I'm gonna pick your brain. We're gonna find out some more stuff, and then I'm gonna come out with an exclusive interview with this man, the most interesting man in the world. Just get yourself fired again, Joanne. Because Joanne has a saying. She calls them the Jack Astronauts.
Yeah,
the Jack Astronauts are always going to be what they are. They're going to be the Jack Astronauts. That's just what they are. The low jacks, the low IQ jackasses, right? All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. He told Chuck Norris. His name is Chuck Norris. There you go. Sailor says Anthony is the new Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
He actually took a doll and put it on a llama and took a picture. Now that's where we got the Dalai Lama. This man is the smartest, most interesting man in the world. How can you go wrong?
It's really just common sense.
It is. It really is. He once told me, he's like, your hair's messed up. Get a haircut. And I did. And now look.
What's wise sage advice for the layman is common sense for me. Of course.
And when you get Tony together with him, dude, I'm telling you, they could balance the budget. They could solve all the mysteries and riddles of the universe. I'm telling you. They've had this ability since they were kids.
Just stop being homeless.
Remember what? Put Tony on blast. I remember one time when Tony was a teenager, Remember when he tore up the Crown Vic and you were like, how did you tear up my car?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I just didn't put oil in.
Yeah.
I was mad at the time.
And I remember like our mechanic at the time saying like,
how did you do this? Like,
yeah, like, you know,
he said those engines are hard to.
It's really hard to lock up one of these engines. These things are built really well, but he managed to do it.
Blaine.
Yeah.
Bulletproof, right? And then Tony goes, I just didn't put oil in. And then like what 3 or 4 months later, Tony's telling me, he goes, if you would just stop and listen, you might learn something. And I said, oh, snap. You got me. The guy who didn't put engine oil in a car. And ever since then, I was like, stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody know Tony's a clown. I started listening after that, Tony. Thank you for that. Because before that, I was just like, Somebody would tell me something, and I would just be like, no, Gilbert Grape. That was me. That was me. I was constantly running to the water tower.
Uh-huh.
And Johnny Depp was like, hey, don't go to the water tower. You're going to fall. Something could happen to you. Very bad.
Shut up, Gilbert.
I'm like, shut up, Gilbert. You're constantly stopping me from pooping with my pants. That was me before Tony. And then Tony came and he was like, oh. These are blunts, by the way. You got to just stop. You got to listen. Pay attention. And then I was like, oh. No, I get it. Before that, I think much, but now me them think a lot. But you're so smart. You good ideas with the guy. Hey, the man. Hey, the man. And after that, it was on and popping. Right, Daddy-O? Hey, man. Just get blowed. And so I met Armando, and Armando's like, hey, we should do a show. I said, you're right. We should do a show. I never would have listened to somebody before Tony told me. That day Tony told me that, changed my life forever. Then I knew, hey, 17-year-olds have the best ideas.
Definitely.
Stop and listen to those 17-year-olds. When a cop pulls you over, you're like, I don't need to talk to you. Can you bring a 17-year-old that I can speak with? They have sage advice. I want one of your supervisors. He better be 17. They know how to destroy an engine on a Crown Vic. Like nobody's business. All right, folks. Thank you. We love you. Thank you for tuning in. Like I said, this time we're leaving for real. We're leaving for real. Let me play a song here. Wait. Before we go, what about let's do the giveaway. Who wants to win? Who wants to win something? What would Tony do? JX, you're on fire tonight, bro. John over here, John Maddox. What would Tony do? Probably watch it burn. You're like, what burn what? The river, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens, it happens. Probably won't even pull out the phone to video it. He's got a video game going there. You can't do that.
You would run to the nearest vehicle and destroy it.
He does, right?
Yeah.
He whoops a vehicle's ass.
Like
man.
Street Fighter.
Hey, let's do a skit here. Look, here we go. What was the latest vehicle he destroyed? The Tacoma?
Yeah.
They're like, Mr. Tacoma, Tacoma's over there like, just bleeding. He's just like, his blood come out of his head. This is his Toyota Tacoma, right? Like, Mr. Tacoma, what was it like to fight Mr. Tony Long? I mean, he's got a long history of just really in the octagon. He has destroyed a lot of vehicles. Tacoma's like, yeah. After what he did to the Edge and the Crotch of Sebring and the other Dakota car, I can't remember the name of it. Oh, God, my head hurts so bad. And then, of course, what he did to the Crown Vic and what he did to the Escape. I don't know. There's a long list of them. I really thought I had a chance. I mean, we're built really tough. We're built here in San Antonio. I can't see out of my eye. I'm half dead here.
This guy was due for a loss, but he just keeps winning against us.
I thought being at Tacoma with my resale value and how tough we are, that I thought I had a chance. I definitely thought I had more of a chance than the other vehicles. But no, I mean, this guy, he's relentless. He's unbelievable. I mean, he got the choke in and he just wouldn't let go. When he slammed me into those gates at the apartment complex, I thought, man, this is it. I'm I'm on my last leg. I knew it was, and then he didn't put oil in me either, and that I knew I was that was it for me. I was done. And then of course the balding of my tires, the tailgate, him backing into the other guy's car, and yeah, I can't say enough about this guy, folks. If you're a vehicle out there, don't fight this guy. Do not. This kid is tough. He is built Ford tough. I mean, seriously, man. And even if you're a Ford, he'll whoop you. He'll beat you really bad. He's got that in him. He is Asian, and not trying to be, I'm not trying to be racial or anything, but they're just good at destroying vehicles, man. I mean, have you seen E Honda on Street Fighter? This guy is like that on steroids, folks. I can't say enough about this. This is why he's the champ. That's why. Okay, well, thank you, Toyota Tacoma. Let's go to our champion here, Tony. He's like, yeah. He goes, what do you have to say about this? Once again, you dominate vehicles. Like, it is unreal. It's uncanny how you just whip the dog crap out of them. Tony's like, that's what I am, folks. I'm a vehicle destroyer. I'm the champ. That's why I got the belt. The people are clapping, yeah. In his mind. I smoke a fat spliff and I just go to work, man. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Yeah. I'm a gangster, man. What can I say, man? Tacoma was one of the tougher opponents, man. He's definitely one of the tougher opponents. It wasn't a cakewalk, but I managed to destroy it. I got in there and I whooped $40,000 worth of ass. And, I did it again. And to my detractors, AKA Anthony and Nelly and Wolf out there, all I got to say is beep, 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 expletives, And then he's like, I'm out. Peace. And he throws the mic. Bring on the next vehicle. See what's up.
It's a Cybertruck.
See what's up. Elon Musk is over there like, I think I have a vehicle for you. You can try to destroy it. It's a vehicle. Definitely a vehicle. Definitely 730 vehicle. 730. Tune in as he takes on the Cybertruck. The claw. Tony with the iron claw. Really, it's just him grabbing the steering wheel and going, whoop, and smashing it into something. Right, Tony? Is that what's going to happen now? The next vehicle, he's like, bring it out.
Yeah.
You go, what do we got for you this time? A Mack truck? Bring it out. Watch what I do to you. He's like Ryu with the hurricane kicks on the, with the vehicles, the parts are flying everywhere.
It drives you like
car crushing power.
It drives you like Twisted Metal.
That's what it is. He's been taking the Twisted Metal tournaments. We didn't even know it.
Yeah.
He's really that clown on there. Look at Tony. This has been fun later. Exactly. You had fun destroying some vehicles, man. Yeah, exactly, Randy.
It's the black belt in car jitsu.
Now, folks,
car jitsu.
Who wants to win tonight? Who wants to win tonight? Put down the best cut down of Tony's car crushing prowess, and we'll pick you to be the winner. No matter if you won before. We're gonna pick here. We're gonna go. We got a little bit of time here. Like wannabe rally drivers. Exactly, that's what he is. Right? He's not officially an F1. He just does it, on the side streets for no money.
He's more into the underground scene.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, bounty hunting bear. He goes through vehicles that people change their undies. But you're talking about your friend. So let's see what we got to say about Tony here, guys. Next level total loss. Tony equals loss. Exactly. We need water, food, cans. What did it say? We need water, food, cars. Exactly. They need oil. Yeah. The Dodge Destroyer. He's crushed more cars than Godzilla. Tony goes, Chun-Li, car destruction bonus, seen on street. Exactly. The leg going real fast. Yeah. Or E Honda. That's him, dude. He just whoops their ass, dude. The cars don't even have a chance. They don't even know what hit them. I'm gonna tell you something before you think I'm joking. That Chrysler Sebring, his mother got it fixed. Am I lying, Anthony? The day he got it, he wrecked it. He totaled it. He's lucky to be alive. All joking aside, he almost died. He went up in the air. And what did he say? He said, I'm driving down the interstate. Next thing you know, I'm flying through the air.
Yeah. It's a flying car.
Oh, that's what he said. That's what he told us.
Back to the Future car.
Back to the Future. Became a DeLorean. Tony, we got to go back to the future. You got to destroy this car. You got to destroy this car. There's a man on the wing of the plane. Destroy the car. So that's what he did. Been flying through the air. The day his mother, poor mom, she gets it back. She's like, Tony, don't mess up the car. That day, he's like, okay. He looks at the camera. Okay, I will mess it up, Mom. Flying through the cut to flying through the air. Exactly, Wedge. The Chrysler Killer. There you go. The Chrysler Killer. Bad Boy Channel. Okay, you win. Bad Boy Channel wins. You get one right there. So we got the Chrysler Killer. What do we got here? M. Cascone says, Dick Richards, can we send gift cards to Josh and he can mail to you? I will send postage money for shipping. I want to send Nelly Amazon gift cards to help the folks in need do this. Well, that's fine. Put the address down to the what's it called?
The PayPal?
No, the PayPal. The where people can mail stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Lawrence. Herbie goes bananas. Did you see what Maddox put? Read that. Read what he said.
Don't know if you're boring 7 minutes. The rest is history. Jeez.
He turned a dodge into a hit. What the freaking? Okay, Lerny, Texas Lerny, you win. I got you too. Y'all too, rather. I need one more. One more. What do we got?
Freddie Denny, we don't need no stinking oil.
What's that at? Where's Fred's at?
Okay,
Fred, you win too. We got Fred. So we got John. We got John, Fred, and Lerny. Y'all three, y'all win tonight. Y'all got it. Y'all did it. Okay, we got y'all three. All right. If you didn't win, tune in tomorrow. We'll do it again tomorrow. We're gonna win tomorrow. We're always winners. We win here. We always win. Donnie Cho showed up. Donnie Cho says, howdy, y'all. We were just talking about you people and driving vehicles. And we were referring to Tony. We were being completely bigoted. So
you people as in Tekken players, obviously.
He's a Tekken guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you probably beat me at Tekken, but Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, yeah, dude. Dominate, bro. But I'm pretty good at Tekken. I was pretty good at Tekken, but nah, you probably beat me at Tekken. King was my guy. Bad Boy Channel. Okay, so we got Bad Boy Channel, we got Fred, we got Texas Lerny, and who we got? Maddox. I'll get four people. All of y'all, you win. Let me give you the information here. Giveaway winners. Okay, some of you guys that emailed me, don't email me because I have that's reserved for. I got to get people's encounters, man, and I got a lot of them. So, giveaway winners, please send your name, your address, and your shirt size to giveaways@prtpodcast.com. Giveaways, prtpodcast.com. One more time. Giveaways@prtpodcast.com. All right, I know it sounds annoying, but you got to say it. You got to do it. Look at D Donkey Joe. Oh no, dude. Okay, now you calling me out, bro? Okay, like Jake Paul. Are you calling me out? I think you just called me out. Okay. All right, folks. Who wants to see me take Donnie Cho behind the woodshed and give him a spanking on Street Fighter? I will beat you, Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 2. Don't matter. Anthony, you better tell this guy.
I mean, we could stream it.
We can stream it. I promise you, I will beat you, man. I will beat you. We can't just do one and done. We'll do that's 4 out of 7. We'll do a 4 out of 7. And you pick your Zangief. You be Zangief, and I'll pick who I'm going to pick. I'll either take Akuma or I'll take Ryu. I will destroy you, bro. I'm not even joking, man. I was a city champ at one time, man. Here in Austin, a lot of people play games and smoke pot. All right? They don't do nothing else. That's all they do. They smoke pot. The new game's coming out. I may have to Uber Eats, drive Uber.
It
What do they
depend-
call it? Uber Drive. What's it called?
Uber Eats.
Uber Eats. I
Yeah.
got to do Uber Eats for a week so I can buy the new game, pay my rent, maybe.
Depends on which Street Fighter game though, because like they're different.
Yeah, I get that reference, John. John said Tony always decided with the Decepticons. Yeah, because they destroyed vehicles. Yeah, exactly, man. Okay, there you go. A first to 10. There you go. First 10 wins. There you go. 10 wins. We'll do it. And we'll do a money. Yeah, you would do a money match. I don't care. What do you want? $100, $200? Whatever you pick the number, because I know that's how much money is going to be going into my account, bro. I know that. And we can stream it too. It ain't hard. You're like we just put it on the big screen at the house. And you me play, and you specialize in Third Strike.
I mean, if it's on PC, we can stream it from here.
Yeah, as long as I got the right controller.
Yeah, I mean, I have the Xbox controller.
Yeah, I could use that. Because I used to have the Xbox, the GameCube, and the what's it called, the PS2.
Yeah.
The PS controllers are all, they haven't changed much.
Nah.
Xbox controllers, I mean, same thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I could do Xbox One, regular Xbox, don't matter. Yeah, the money could go to the flood victims. There you go. Marvel vs. Capcom. Oh no, now you're talking, Donnie. You have to come down to Austin, come hang out with us, and we come to the studio and play in the break room. We could video us playing on the TV screen.
Yeah.
Right, and me totally whooping you, man. Don't talk about Marvel vs. Capcom, bro. I could use Sabretooth. I could use whoever. It don't matter. You pick somebody. Just pick my character for me. I'll beat you. I will beat you, dude. I talk because I know what I'm doing, man. I use a stick like a pro. Like, well, I don't even need to. I could use a controller like an amateur and beat you. It doesn't matter. You got to use a stick. I can, I know you like handling sticks and things like that. I know that's your kind of thing or whatever. But yeah, there you go. I use Deadpool. Anyways, folks, sorry. 101 in Rome Total War. Oh, Rome Total War, dude. Man, now you're talking. You got me want to play some video games. I haven't played video games forever. Anthony, you know that, right?
Yeah. I
used to be a gamer, man. I used to play every chance I got. I'd play games.
Hell, I haven't even played in a while.
We've been so busy, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, we just work. It's all we.
I started
Look
Red
at my
Dead
eyes.
again for like the 5th time. Still haven't gotten through it.
Anyways, folks, we got to run here. I'm over here now. I have to go. It's almost midnight. But thank you, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everybody who donated so we can help these people with the flood. And yeah, dude, for real, appreciate it. If you guys want to do anything extra or whatever, to help out with the show or with the victims of the flood, whatever, you can go to PayPal. You can donate that way, or you can go donate tomorrow night. It doesn't matter. Because I know my wife, and she's going to do everything she can to help these people. And that's a good thing. I just don't have a lot of time, but she's dealing with it. So we will definitely help them. I have to, man. I have to. This is my, thank God. Thank God. Thank you, God, in the name of Jesus. Thank you, God, that you spared most of Cedar Park where we were. Yeah. We were spared. And North Austin, Cedar Park, where we, do our jobs and stuff. We would have to go somewhere to get, to be where it was affected really bad. There was a lot of water, man. When we were driving, we'd hit these spots and it was like, and at one point I almost lost control of my vehicle, man. But by the grace of God, I didn't. It just, all right, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who showed up. We had a great time. Tomorrow night, go and jump in the chat. I'm expecting you, Rain. Rain, you better show up. Tell us your zombie story. Okay, folks, tomorrow night, we're going to do it like we always do. We'll have a bunch of people. You watch. I promise you, there'll be a bunch of people in the queue. I can just predict it right now. It's going to happen. Always does. Congratulations to the winners. And we're out of here, man. I'm going to play Nellie's. Which one should we play? She has another one. It's a new Ghost song. We played it at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
But we'll play. Is the new Alice song on here yet?
I mean, we have the one that Violet Helm.
Okay, that's Violet Helm's version of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have
the
that
new
one
one on here yet.
But we got the new Ghost song right here. Here it is, right here.
I'm manifesting through the I reach for you like a fading ghost, like a vapor of smoke. You look back but didn't see me. One day you'll notice something missing, and you'll turn to look for me, and I'll be gone. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. I'm manifesting through the pain, like a whisper lost in the rain. In the night I'd fading like a ghost train. You have only yourself to blame. An empty carriage, a carnival of pain, with ghosts standing in the rain. My memory, your pain. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever